Chapter 226. Almost in the blink of an eye, the two had already rushed to each other. Wang Lan brought out the sun halo with both hands. The sun halo was like holding the sacred flame insignia, both cool and powerful. On the other hand, Lei Tianxu's entire arm turned into a lightning eel, the silver needle-like electric arcs emitting a dazzling light. The first exchange made Wang Lan turn pale with fright. Lei Tianxu was not the tank-type warrior that Wang Lan had imagined. He was a high-agility warrior. Whether it was his movement speed or his reflexes, they were all ridiculously fast. In addition, under the stimulation of the lightning, his speed was even faster than one could imagine. Wang Lan slashed down with his blade. In front of him was the void, and when he realized that it was the void in front of him, a strong sense of crisis attacked his back. In less than half a second, Lei Tianxu not only dodged his attack, but also turned to Wang Lan's back and launched an attack. Without hesitation, the nebula sword dance unfolded, and more than a dozen afterimages exploded like a peacock spreading its tail. Lei Tianxu's figure was like a bolt of lightning, instantly shattering the afterimages that Wang Lan had exploded. The afterimages dissipated, but the sound of thunder was still echoing in his ears. Wang Lan's figure rapidly retreated, dragging 2 long trenches on the ground. In an instant, there was a slight respite in the fierce battle. In the stands, almost everyone looked nervous and couldn't take their eyes off. Wang Lan slightly bowed, looking vigilantly at Lei Tianxu, who was casually standing in front of him. Seeing Wang Lan's dignified expression, Lei Tianxu smiled. Many people will look down on me because of my figure, so just now was considered a warm-up match. This time you shouldn't hold back, right? Thank you for your kindness, Student Lei. Wang Lan tightly clenched his teeth. Student Wang Lan, you can put on your Star Palace artifact. I don't mind. My Thunder Snake all has never broken a Star Palace artifact before. Wang Lan didn't fight back. The electric arcs around his body flashed once again. In the blink of an eye, the electric arcs had already wrapped around Wang Lan's body. In an instant, Wang Lan moved. The lightning behind him seemed to have transformed into Wang Lan's cape. The world around him came to a complete standstill. The moment Wang Lan moved, Lei Tianxu moved as well. Although it was different from Wang Lan's performance, the Takashi Hoshi technique was similar. It was nothing more than using thunder to stimulate the muscles in the body, causing the body to explode with unparalleled speed. It was as if the two of them were the only ones left in the world. The two men, who were so fast that only silver light could be seen, were exchanging blows rapidly in the arena. Every punch and kick showed the art of fighting and the beauty of violence. This was a very high-quality and high-intensity battle, but for the audience watching the live broadcast, it was not so friendly. It was better for the audience watching the live broadcast. The camera could deliberately slow down the scene so that the audience could more or less see it. However, the audience was far away. If they wanted to see clearly, they could only rely on their own abilities. This should be a championship-quality battle, right? Su Xianwen came back to his senses and asked Jiang Xinyu. Wang Lan was very strong, but in Su Xianwen's impression, he wasn't strong enough that he couldn't even resist. No, he couldn't even see his movements clearly. However, Wang Lan had many trump cards. Even if he was a little stronger, Su Xianwen wouldn't find it inconceivable. In the face of Wang Lan, whom Su Xianwen thought was strong to such an extent, Lei Tianxu was still able to fight Wang Lan to a standstill. This was hard for him to accept. Everyone was at the Nebula Realm. What they were doing made Su Xianwen feel that he might be a fake. I'm just afraid that the quality of the champion is not that high. When I thought that Wang Lan had mastered the lightning-type Takashi Hoshi technique and could use the composite Takashi Hoshi technique, I almost thought that he would be the champion. I underestimated the heroes of the world. There are too many monsters in the provincial martial arts competition. This Lei Tianxu wasn't famous in the past. Who knew that he was so abnormal? If I fight with Lei Tianxu, I still have the strength to fight. Jiang Xinyu's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Lei Tianxiu was a lightning-type Takashi Hoshi. A lightning-type Takashi Hoshi was a very powerful attribute. The only thing that could defeat lightning was wind. As the saying went, the layman watched the show, while the expert watched the skill. Su Xiangwen and the others were not laymen, but it was impossible for them to see the details of the battle from such a distance. However, the many examiners present could. Thunder God! The young man sitting beside Di Lao suddenly smiled and said with certainty, "Teacher, this is the Thunder God technique that has been lost for almost 200 years. Yes," Di Lao said calmly. "The Thunder God Takashi Hoshi technique requires a very powerful body talent. Since its inception, very few people have been able to learn it. The country is really good to this youth. They are even willing to give him such a powerful S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique. He actually managed to learn it. Mr. Xian, being able to learn an S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique is not a skill," Lu Zhao said indifferently. "Of course it's not a skill. However, with his nebula cultivation, being able to learn an S-rank technique is very unusual. Especially a Takashi Hoshi technique like Thunder God, which is very difficult to learn. However, the youth fighting with him..." The young man suddenly paused. He actually mastered 3 A-rank Takashi Hoshi techniques and cultivated them to a very high level. He even learned the composite Takashi Hoshi technique? Which aristocratic family does this youth belong to? I want to pay him a visit. Little Lin, do you want to take him as a disciple? Di Lao asked with a playful smile. The children of aristocratic families all have their own inheritances. Even if I wanted to, he might not be willing. However, it's not a bad idea to exchange experiences. Teacher, what do you think? He's not from any aristocratic family. Lu Zhao looked strangely at this man called Xian Lin, his eyes full of suspicion. You don't even know Wang Lan. Are you sure you're from Di Lao's faction? You're not a fake, are you? What? Not from an aristocratic family? This time, Xian Lin's expression turned grave. If he's not from an aristocratic family, how could he have laid down such a solid foundation? Basic combat, the use of Takashi Hoshi techniques, and even the use of composite Takashi Hoshi techniques? Without a deep foundation and specific guidance from someone, it's absolutely impossible to do it on your own. I know this child. He's indeed not from any Takashi Hoshi aristocratic family. In fact, it hasn't even been a year since he awakened his Takashi Hoshi innate talent. What? This time, Xian Lin lost his composure. At the end of June and the beginning of July last year, Wang Lan awakened his Takashi Hoshi innate talent on his own. 3 days later, he went to the basic training field. 7 days later, he came out of the basic training field with star blazing. Then, he learned the A-level Takashi Hoshi techniques, Nebula Sword Dance and Flaming Saber. Half a year ago, in the Takashi Hoshi Hegemony competition, he anonymously participated and won the championship. In February and March of this year, he had already mastered the use of composite Takashi Hoshi techniques and used them together. Following Lu Zhao's explanation, Xian Lin's expression kept changing. The corners of his mouth opened slightly. After a long time, he came back to his senses. What a genius! It was Lu Zhao's fault for speaking so casually. Xian Lin needed to imagine what kind of innate talent Lu Zhao's words represented. To awaken on his own at the age of 16 was already very monstrous. To awaken on his own at this age, his innate talent was definitely not good enough. However, to break through star blazing in 10 days, to be able to reach his current level from just awakening within a year. How many people in this world had this kind of innate talent? This Wang Lan's innate talent is almost catching up to junior sister. Teacher, you didn't come to Sioux City this time for him, right? Yes and no. Di Lao's temperament wasn't strange. He was very crafty and spoke in riddles. I have also heard of second princess's innate talent, But if Mr. Xian were to know what Wang Lan's first Takashi Hoshi technique was, I'm afraid you wouldn't think so. Didn't you say it was Nebula Sword Dance and Flaming Saber? Neither. Di Lao didn't speak in riddles this time. Instead, he was lost in thought as he looked at the two people fighting fiercely on the field. He sighed. The first Takashi Hoshi technique Wang Lan learned was Phoenix Form. Crack! Xian Lin suddenly swung his neck. That crisp sound was the sound of his neck twisting, which made Lu Zhao's teeth ache slightly. Phoenix Form? How did he learn Phoenix Form? How did he have the opportunity to learn it and even learn it? How is this possible? The minimum requirement to learn Phoenix Form is the Galaxy Realm. Senior sister learned Phoenix Form in Nebula by chance. Xian Lin couldn't be blamed for losing his composure. This news was simply like a tsunami to him. When Xian Lin became Di Lao's disciple, Wang Ling had already accepted the mission and left. Xian Lin's biggest regret was not being able to see Yen Emperor's true appearance with his own eyes. Among so many senior brothers and sisters, he was afraid that he was the only one who had never seen Yen Emperor. Even his little junior sister had been carried by the Flame Emperor when she was young. In Xian Lin's heart, the person he respected the most was undoubtedly Di Lao, but the person he worshipped the most was definitely Yen Emperor. He hadn't learned Yen Emperor's signature Takashi Hoshi's Phoenix Form, nor had his senior brothers and sisters. Instead, a brat from Sioux City had learned it. This made it very difficult for him to digest this information. Don't be so flustered. In any case, you are also a Star Sea Realm cultivator. Di Lao faintly shouted, Wang Lan is a child that little Phoenix adopted 17 years ago. However, when you interact with Wang Lan in the future, don't say that he was adopted and that he doesn't know. So he is senior sister's child. That makes sense. The corner of Lu Zhao's mouth twitched slightly. Makes sense? Reasonable my ass. The reason Lu Zhao said this was because he wanted to hear the opinion of his family. Was there really no problem with Wang Lan's monstrous talent? Wang Lan was his valiant general and was treated as a mascot. However, when he thought of Wang Lan's abnormality, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Star Blazing had learned the Phoenix Form. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't make sense. Moreover, he heard that Star Blazing had a full attribute constitution, but the detector couldn't detect it. Even if it was Lu Zhao, he would still be curious and gossipy. You think it's reasonable just because you said so? How is this reasonable? Looking at Lu Zhao's expression, Xian Lin seemed to understand the meaning behind Lu Zhao's expression. He smiled and said, What is unreasonable about senior sister's child? Even if he isn't senior sister's biological child, senior sister raised him. Talent is more or less contagious. This was the first time he had heard of this. Boom! At this moment, a powerful explosion resounded in the arena. Lightning wreaked havoc and flickered. The ground was scorched black and smoke rose into the air. The two figures flew out like cannonballs. Lei Tianxiu was still fine. His feet plowed 2 deep trenches on the ground. However, Wang Lan kept rolling until he was 20 meters away. In this battle, the high-frequency face-to-face confrontation had already lasted for 5 minutes. Chapter 227. Wang Lan bent over, panting violently. It was as if there was a flame burning in his throat. This 5 minutes of close combat was different from any of the previous fights. This was a confrontation where he used all his strength and did not hold back at all. Both of them were equally fast, but to be honest, Wang Lan's close combat skills were better than Lei Tianxiu's. At least, Wang Lan's flame blade had hit Lei Tianxiu more than 10 times. But Lei Tianxiu's body could really be described as a monster. The flame blade could not break through the defense of Lei Tianxiu's Thunder God's coat. In the end, Wang Lan could only stake it all on one throw. He used the purple flame to turn into the sun halo, which left a wound on Lei Tianxiu's body. But Lei Tianxiu was also a ruthless person. With a kick with the power of thunder, Wang Lan was sent flying, and half of Wang Lan's body was destroyed. When the body was damaged, the healing Takashi Hoshi skill was automatically activated. While Wang Lan was panting, the internal injuries in his body quickly recovered. Blood flowed like a stream from Lei Tianxiu's shoulder. He slightly turned his face to look. Lightning flashed, and the wound was quickly burned. To be able to fight with me to this extent, you really surprised me. Lei Tianxiu's voice was like a bell, exploding in people's heads. But that kick of mine didn't feel good either. My kick can even flatten the armor of a tank. You'd better not try to be brave. If you feel numb, your internal organs may have been damaged. Of course, Wang Lan knew that the previous kick almost destroyed his spleen and kidney. But at this time, Wang Lan had recovered. He slowly stood up straight and raised his hand. It seems that you still don't want to give up. Fine. I don't want to dawdle. Wang Lan, other than in the trial field and the open space, I haven't used my bloodline talent in a fight. Do you know why? Because this is your trump card. You don't want to show too much of it, for fear of being seen through. Wrong. It's because my bloodline is too powerful and I can't hold back. As he spoke, the astral power around Lei Tianxiu suddenly surged wildly, and there seemed to be a flame lingering above his head. Wang Lan was shocked. He didn't dare to hesitate. Astral power surged around him, and a ball of flame instantly rose around Wang Lan. On his wrist, a pair of golden wings spread out and the feathers fluttered down. It was as beautiful as a dream. Purple flame lightning arrow. With a loud shout, an arrow wrapped in purple lightning shot towards Lei Tianxiu. In the blink of an eye, Lei Tianxiu had already activated his berserker bloodline and rushed towards Wang Lan. The arrow had already reached his face. Wang Lan had already locked onto this arrow with his right eye. Lei Tianxiu had no time to dodge, and could only cross his hands in front of his chest to take it head-on. Boom! With a loud explosion, Lei Tianxiu's figure was sent flying. Previously, Wang Lan and Lei Tianxiu had separated from each other. Lei Tianxiu was still 20 meters away from the arena. As Lei Tianxiu was sent flying, Wang Lan's figure moved instantly. His figure flashed out like lightning, and the arrows in his hand were constantly shooting out. Boom, boom, boom. Damn! Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but curse. What kind of tactic was this? Wasn't it too King dirty? Previously, Wang Lan and Lei Tianxiu had clashed head-on at close range. That was because Wang Lan had misjudged Lei Tianxiu's fighting style and chose to fight in close range. Now, of course, he was using long-range attacks to kite. The 4 Takashi Hoshi skills had been connected, and the speed of the arrows was now fast and accurate. Coupled with Wang Lan's rapid approach, Lei Tianxiu was suspended in midair, unable to land. 10 meters. 5 meters. 3 meters, ah! Suddenly, Lei Tianxiu let out a roar in the sky. The sound of vibrations spread out, and the terrifying astral power exploded like a nuclear bomb. The arrows shot by Wang Lan melted instantly like ice meeting fire. Wang Lan's expression changed drastically, and his figure suddenly retreated. In the midst of the lightning arcs and black fog, a figure walked over step by step. Lei Tianxiu's shirt had disappeared, and his bare skin had turned brown. His shoulder that had just been burnt was dripping with blood. A pair of red eyes stared at Wang Lan like a beast. But these beast-like eyes weren't crazy, but vicious. Wow! When the situation of the two people in the arena became clear, the spectators exclaimed in unison. Lei Tianxiu suffered a great loss this time, and the injury on his shoulder that was already injured was many times worse. Even if Lei Tianxiu's momentum was boiling, looking at his miserable appearance, it was as if he was going to sing a song. "You're good, Wang Lan, you're really good. I didn't expect that you could hurt me so badly after I used my bloodline talent. But it's all over now. In my berserker form, all my attributes have been improved by 3 times. You have no chance. But you're injured." Wang Lan knelt with one foot on the ground, bent over and said coldly, "I don't feel pain." Wang Lan instantly raised his hand, and a lightning arrow shot out from Wang Lan's fingertips. But this time, Lei Tianxu was prepared. His figure flashed, and as fast as lightning, he avoided Wang Lan's lightning arrow and turned into a stream of light rushing toward Wang Lan. Wang Lan's lightning arrow already had the speed of lightning attribute, and in terms of speed, it was no less than a gun. But even if its speed was comparable to a bullet, Lei Tianxu could still dodge it. After dodging 2 arrows in a row, Wang Lan finally understood that this round was still a head-on fight. Purple Sun Halo was released, and the lightning attribute was activated to the maximum in an instant, fiercely meeting Lei Tianxu's attack. Crackle, electric arcs exploded, and Lei Tianxu's fist shattered one of Wang Lan's lightning shadows. The lightning shadow instantly exploded, and a strong electric current wreaked havoc on Lei Tianxu's body. Taking advantage of this critical moment, Wang Lan chopped at Lei Tianxu's injured shoulder. Lei Tianxu and Wang Lan's figures crossed each other, and the thunderfang in his hand fiercely pierced into Wang Lan's shoulder. It wasn't until Wang Lan and Lei Tianxu brushed past each other that Wang Lan realized that he was injured. So fast, too fast. Before, Lei Tianxu's speed was comparable to Wang Lan's. Now that he had activated his berserker bloodline, his speed was even faster. But after the 2 figures crossed each other, although Wang Lan's attack left a wound on Lei Tianxu's body, Wang Lan's left shoulder was also heavily injured. What? In the stands, many people exclaimed again. Wang Lan is going to lose. Lei Tianxu doesn't feel pain under the berserker bloodline, and his body's strength has increased by many times. But Wang Lan can't. What a pity, he's already beaten to this extent. Zhuang Haotian said with a pained expression. At this moment, the teaching director was speechless. When he saw Lei Tianxu's miserable state, he thought that all 3 of them would pass the 3rd round, but 2 of them had already passed, so it didn't matter if Wang Lan lost. Sioux City's team hadn't reached the 4th round, and from the 4th round onwards, it had always been the 4 strong cities competing for hegemony. It's fair now. Lei Tianxu looked at the wound on Wang Lan's shoulder and laughed. Is that so? Wang Lan gently tore off his clothes that had turned into strips of cloth during the battle and followed Lei Tianxu's example. Compared to Lei Tianxu, Wang Lan was too skinny. Although the lines of his muscles were very well proportioned and beautiful, the difference in size was like the difference between a lion and a hound. However, in the next moment, Lei Tianxu's expression froze. The wound on Wang Lan's shoulder healed at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Damn, it must be fake, right? In the stands, regardless of whether it was the students participating in the provincial martial arts competition or the Cebu Gakuin teachers who were there to observe, they all stared at Wang Lan with their mouths agape. The wound on his shoulder healed at a speed that was visible to the naked eye? Is this a Takashi Hoshi technique? Or is it a bloodline talent? I forgot to tell you that I'm actually a medical Takashi Hoshi. Damn it, you're a medical Takashi Hoshi? Have you ever seen a medical awakened who can fight so well? Besides, you're a medical awakened, aren't you? Lei Tianxu was just complaining in his heart, but there was already an uproar in the stands. Damn it, you said that you're a medical awakened? You're a stay-at-home dad? Please be human. I didn't see it before. No wonder he's fine even after being kicked so many times by Lei Tianxu. I thought that his body was especially resistant to beatings, but it turns out that he's been healing himself. Many people in the stands refused to believe it, but Wang Lan's fans were already in an uproar on the online forum. Wolf King was a medical Takashi Hoshi, and those who had watched the Takashi Hoshi Championship knew that it was no secret. Those who had carefully studied Wang Lan also knew about it. However, Wang Lan was just a star-blazing Takashi Hoshi. How many of the big shots participating in the provincial martial arts competition would pay attention to Wang Lan? Basically, when they looked at the information, they would think that star-blazing was rubbish and skip it. By the time the competition officially started and Wang Lan showed his powerful abilities, they would no longer have the time or conditions to study Wang Lan. Hence, those who knew about it knew, while those who didn't were dumbfounded like fools. All of a sudden, Wang Lan discovered a new combat strategy that seemed to be very suitable for the current situation. Wang Lan immediately smiled slyly and thought, "Come on, trade injury for injury. Let's hurt each other and see who can't stand it first." In an instant, Wang Lan moved again. He cast 4 Takashi Hoshi techniques at the same time. Although he did not have an advantage in terms of speed, he could use the Thunder Shadow to create illusions. It was fine if one was not afraid of pain, but the injuries were not fake. Wang Lan's tactics became wretched. Every move he made was to trade injury for injury, which was the best way to disrupt the rhythm of the battle. Originally, they were practicing well, but suddenly they didn't know how to fight anymore. Even if Lei Tianxiu had the advantage of speed, he couldn't be chased around the arena by Wang Lan, right? You've activated the Berserker bloodline talent, but you're not only not crazy at all, you're also so cowardly? How could this be? Trading injury for injury, they were all ruthless people. But compared to Wang Lan's shameless tactics, Lei Tianxiu was really an obedient child. Gritting his teeth and holding his breath, he watched with grief and indignation as Wang Lan's wounds healed quickly. His own blood flowed profusely. After being forced to trade injuries with Wang Lan, Lei Tianxiu gritted his teeth and fell straight down. Even if he was made of iron, he couldn't withstand Wang Lan's shameless attrition. Finally, the man fell down, and Wang Lan looked at Lei Tianxiu, who was lying on the ground covered in blood, and secretly took a deep breath. Wang Lan's star power was almost depleted. If Lei Tianxiu didn't fall, Wang Lan could only admit defeat. Chapter 228. Congratulations to the host for advancing to the 4th round. The reward is 10,000 experience points and 600 skill points. When the referee announced Wang Lan's victory, the system notification rang out in his mind. Almost everyone in the audience stood up and gave Wang Lan a warm round of applause. This battle made their hearts surge. This battle also made them accept it wholeheartedly. It also made them forget the fact that Wang Lan was star-blazing Takashi Hoshi. Wang Lan's previous victory could be explained by various reasons, such as the element of surprise, the Star Palace artifact, etc. However, this battle made them see Wang Lan's solid fighting strength. Who among the people present, whether they were eliminated or not, had the confidence to fight Lei Tianxiu? No one. Including the few from Jinshi, probably none. Although Lian City's team wasn't strong, and Lian City's ranking was even lower than Su City's, Lei Tianxiu was definitely a top-notch captain. He had the Berserker bloodline, but in front of Wang Lan, he didn't even display the power of the Berserker bloodline. On the other side of the internet, the netizens were completely boiling. Wang Lan's fans were no longer limited to those in Su City. Even the netizens from other cities expressed high recognition of Wang Lan. Especially the netizens of Lian City. Wang Lan had defeated Lei Tianxiu, who they called the strongest captain in history, fair and square. They were wholeheartedly convinced. With the 3rd round of the competition, the battles had reached the most exciting stage. Naturally, accidents in the competition were unavoidable. Today there were 16 matches, and 2 matches had almost ended in mutual destruction. Even if they won the match, they would be seriously injured. And this degree of injury was something that even Takashi Hoshi might not be able to heal. The draw is about to start. I wonder how many people will forfeit this time? Su Xianwen leaned on the sofa and stared at the TV. Even if they forfeit, at most 2. 2 is good too. With 2 less strong competitors, won't you be one step closer to the championship? Duh. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Su Xianwen stood up to open the door. Teacher, may I know, who are you looking for? Is Wang Lan here? Wang Lan looked up and saw a dignified and beautiful middle-aged female teacher bringing a girl into the room. Seeing the girl, Wang Lan narrowed his eyes and immediately understood the purpose of the other party's visit. Oh, you're all here. Hello, student Wang Lan. I'm the teacher in charge of Jin City's team. I'm also a professor at Cebu Gakuin's tactics department. I'm Ni Yushu. When this identity was announced, the few people sitting in the room immediately stood up. The teacher in charge of Jin City's team was still alright, but Cebu Gakuin was a different story. Other than the top 4 Cebu Gakuin, Jinsher Cebu Gakuin was undoubtedly the top of the second tier. For many top students, if they did not have the opportunity to join the top 4 Cebu Gakuin, Jinsher Cebu Gakuin would definitely be their first choice. The top 4 Cebu Gakuin were all cheat. Jinsher Cebu Gakuin was able to squeeze into the forefront among the other Cebu Gakuin, so naturally, it had its own uniqueness. Among the people present, Su Xiangwen, Gong Feiyu, and Xie Sisi, who did not want to join Cebu Gakuin. Hello, teacher and I. You're a professor at Cebu Gakuin. Why are you the leader of Jin City's team? Su Xianwen looked at Su Su, who was standing beside Ni Yushu, with a puzzled look in his eyes. I'm the honorary principal of Cebu Gakuin's affiliated high school, so it's natural for me to be the leader of Jin City's team. As he spoke, he looked at Wang Lan and smiled. Student Wang Lan, I'd like to ask you to treat my daughter's injuries. Student Su Su is your daughter? Wang Lan was surprised as he looked at Su Su, whose face was slightly pale. As a doctor, Wang Lan should have agreed without hesitation. However, at this moment, Wang Lan shook his head. The Provincial Martial Arts Tournament is equipped with Takashi Hoshi medical practitioners. Please let them treat student Su Su. The Takashi Hoshi medical practitioners that are equipped with Su Su's injuries are unable to treat them completely. Tomorrow is the day of the competition to advance to the top 9, so it will affect tomorrow's competition. Student Wang Lan's strength was vividly displayed in today's battle. With Star Blazing's Takashi Hoshi level, he defeated Lei Tianxiu with his own strength. In the past 10 years, there hasn't been a student as outstanding as student Wang Lan in the province. However, I know that in comparison, student Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi medical skills are the best in the world. That's why I'm here to ask student Wang Lan to help. Teacher and I, you're too kind. If it were any other time, I would be duty-bound to help, but now, you know that we're participating in the Provincial Martial Arts Tournament. We're competitors, so it's difficult for me to agree to your request. If you agree to treat Su Su, I can give you a recommendation to Cebu Gakuin, and I'll also provide you with the best teachers in Jin City. You know that I have the ability to do so. Wang Lan smiled faintly as he looked at Ni Yushu. If I agree, I'm afraid that teacher and I will think of me as someone who forgets righteousness for the sake of small profits, right? Is saving the dying and healing the injured forgetting righteousness for the sake of small profits? Or is Cebu Gakuin not enough of a bargaining chip? Could it be that student Wang Lan is aiming to be one of the 4 Cebu Gakuin? Since you're already at this level, if you work hard, becoming one of the 4 Cebu Gakuin doesn't seem so unattainable. Although Wang Lan's words were modest, his eyes were filled with confidence. One of the 4 Cebu Gakuin, I, Wang Lan, am definitely going to be one of them. Only by entering the top 3 will you have a chance to be valued by one of the 4 Cebu Gakuin. Student Wang Lan, are you very confident? I can give it a try. The atmosphere suddenly became oppressive, and Ni Yushu's expression became a little solemn. Su Su gently grabbed Ni Yushu's sleeve. Mom, let's go. Ni Yushu glanced at Wang Lan, then looked at Jiang Xinyu who was beside Wang Lan. You're doing this for Jiang Xinyu, right? Based on the strength that student Wang Lan displayed today, he might have a chance of winning against Su Su. Su Su's fire attribute inherent skill can only restrain student Jiang Xinyu's ice attribute. Teacher, you've misunderstood. In my opinion, student Su Su's strength is definitely in the top 5 among the contestants. To be honest, I don't have the slightest bit of confidence. I'm a contestant, and I don't have the obligation to heal my opponents. I'm afraid that you won't believe me if I tell you this, but the reason why I was chosen to represent Sioux City was to make up the numbers. It wasn't easy for me to get to where I am now. My main task is to ensure that Sioux City's representative team wins every match. I hope that you can understand. Of course, I can understand. However, Wang Lan, I wonder if you've noticed the flaws in your fighting style? I'd like to hear the details. Let's not talk about your Takashi Hoshi level for now. There are 4 Takashi Hoshi skills that you've mastered: Nebula Sword Dance, Flaming Blade, Crescent Moon Arrow, and Thunder Snake. What's even more difficult is that you've already mastered these 4 A-ranked Takashi Hoshi skills to the point of perfection. You've also completed the cultivation of the composite Takashi Hoshi skills. On the battlefield, your skills and damage output are top-notch. Even many of Jean City's university students might not be as strong as you. However, at the same time, you're much less flexible. You don't have the ability to control the field from a distance, and you don't have the ability to react to emergencies. Take Sioux City's representative Mu Xiaoyun for example. His earth elemental technique is unparalleled in the world, and it can appear and disappear without a trace. It seems to be more useful than your Nebula Thunder Shadow. And Yushu paused at this point. Wang Lan frowned. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. As expected of Jean City's Sibu Gakuin's professor, his insight was really sharp. Sometimes, the composite Takashi Hoshi skill of 2 A-ranked Takashi Hoshi skills wasn't as useful as a B-ranked Takashi Hoshi skill. Another example is, if you meet Chang City's water-type team leader, how do you deal with his Sea of Water tactics and Hell's Rain technique? You don't have the ability to travel underground, and you don't have any escape abilities. Your every move will be completely restrained by your opponent. Also, Tong City's mirror image innate skill, Zhang Jing. Do you have any way to restrain his ability? Moreover, there are 2 in Jean City. One of them has absolute speed, and the other has absolute star power. The examples that Yushu gave were all opponents that Wang Lan couldn't defeat for the time being. Frankly speaking, Wang Lan could only counter soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. He could only find an opening in the battle to win. Does Teacher Ni have any advice? You lack an escape Takashi Hoshi skill, but your attributes are fire and lightning. Moreover, your lightning attribute is indeed very fast in the eyes of ordinary Takashi Hoshi. However, in the provincial martial tournament, where geniuses gather, your speed doesn't have any advantage. I have an A-ranked Takashi Hoshi skill here, Perplexing Phantom Track. What do you think about it in exchange? Perplexing Phantom Track was the skill of Jean City's 3rd-ranked expert. Perplexing Phantom Track was a type of teleportation technique. It could instantly appear in front of the enemy to attack, and it could also be used to dodge the enemy's attack. Zhang Yu used Perplexing Phantom Track and his powerful reflexes to instantly kill his opponents in the first 2 rounds. Although he met an opponent in the 3rd round, he also relied on Perplexing Phantom Track to defeat his opponent. Absolute Godspeed was referring to him. In Wang Lan's eyes, this Takashi Hoshi skill reminded him of the Flying Thunder God. It made Wang Lan drool for a long time. However, the difference between it and the Flying Thunder God was that he did not need to throw coordinates, and he could not flash infinitely. Moreover, there was a distance limit. Wang Lan agreed to her request. Suddenly, Jiang Xinyu, who was behind Wang Lan, said faintly. Wang Lan turned around and looked at Jiang Xinyu seriously. I know you're not willing because you're worried about me. My ability is completely restrained by her, but you can't underestimate me. But don't look down on me. I, Jiang Xinyu, will never take advantage of someone's precarious position. Even if I have to fight against Su Su in the future, regardless of whether I win or lose, I will fight fair and square. Moreover, even if my attributes are restrained, I may not lose. Seeing that Wang Lan was still hesitant, Jiang Xinyu smiled. Moreover, I really want to have a fair fight with Su Su. Treat her. I'm talking about sinew. Do you think I'll treat her just because you say so? Why don't you think about where Su Su's injury is? Wang Lan smiled bitterly and sighed. It's a little below her lower abdomen. And Yushu said doubtfully, what's the point? Do you still want to see it? Teacher and my Takashi Hoshi skills treatment method is contact. It's not like the traditional Takashi Hoshi skill, which can heal from a distance. As soon as he said this, Su Su's cheeks instantly turned red, and there was even steam faintly gathering. Then I'll have to trouble you, Wang Lan. Can I watch from the side? That's fine. Chapter 229. After sending off Yushu and her daughter, Wang Lan returned to his room and held the mid-grade soul orb in his hand. He was so rich, giving away a grade A Takashi Hoshi skill just like that. This was not an ordinary grade A Takashi Hoshi skill, but one of the more powerful ones among the grade A Takashi Hoshi skills. The price was probably around 8 million. The moment he absorbed the soul orb, a stream of information flowed into his brain along with the astral power in the soul orb. The astral power was stored in the Star Palace, and the stream of information flowed into his mind. Takashi Hoshi skill discovered. Spend 100 skill points to learn? Wang Lan had just earned 600 skill points. Adding the 200 skill points from before, 800 skill points was not a problem at all. After spending 100 skill points, a shiny silver skill icon appeared on the Takashi Hoshi skill page. Phantom Trace, Silver Level 1, 0/100. The instant the skill icon lit up, a feeling of enlightenment rushed into Wang Lan's mind. She closed her eyes, and her vision was no longer pitch black. A feeling that could only be understood but not expressed in words filled her heart. She could vaguely see a shore in the distance. It was as if Wang Lan only needed to take a single step to reach the shore. Wang Lan took a tentative step forward. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and the people watching TV in the living room jumped. They all stood up and rushed to Wang Lan's door. Oh fuck! Inside the room, Wang Lan's tragic cries of pain could be heard. Su Xianwen kicked the door open, only to see Wang Lan clinging to the wall with his arms and legs spread out like a gecko. The wall was full of cracks. Wang Lan fell from the wall like a poker card and landed steadily on the bed. His nose was crooked and tears flowed freely. But also in an instant, the healing skill automatically activated, and in a short while, his face was as good as new. Su Xianwen looked at the figure on the wall, and then at Wang Lan, who was lying on the bed with a look of doubt on his face. Lanzi, if there's anything you want to do, just tell us. There's no need to hit the wall, right? F***ck, it hurts, I miscalculated. Wang Lan covered his nose that had already recovered and looked embarrassed. I just learned phantom steps and wanted to experiment with it, but I didn't expect the room to be so small that I ended up being stuck to the wall. Damn, it hurts. Pfft, Lanzi, you're so F***king talented. Wait, suddenly, the world became so quiet. The atmosphere became so solemn. Su Xiangwen's expression changed. Finally, he came in front of Wang Lan and stared into Wang Lan's eyes. Looking at the four people's fiery eyes, Wang Lan inexplicably felt a little guilty. What did you just say? You want to test out the phantom trace you just learned? Then it stuck to the wall? What's wrong? What's wrong? Su Xianwen grabbed Wang Lan's collar and shook him back and forth. That's an A-grade Takashi Hoshi skill, an A-grade. You spent less than 10 minutes to learn it and you're telling me you've already learned it? An A-grade Takashi Hoshi skill. You can't even reach the entry level without a week of practice, right? Now you're telling me you've learned it? Are you even human? Are you even human? Wang Lan broke free from Su Xiangwen's demonic grip. No. Wang Lan said decisively without hesitation. Is this your first day knowing me? I haven't been human for a long time. Isn't it just an A-grade Takashi Hoshi skill? I know so many A-grade Takashi Hoshi skills, which one of them didn't take less than a minute to learn. Su Xiangwen, who was convinced by Wang Lan's shamelessness, cupped his fist. When it comes to being despicable, I, Su Xiangwen, am willing to call you the best. At the same time, in the elevator, although Su Su's injuries had been healed and she had recovered to her peak condition, she still had an unhappy expression on her face. What's wrong? And Yushu hugged his daughter's shoulder and asked. Using the phantom trace in exchange for healing me, that's too big a price to pay. What's so big about it? If you can achieve good results in the provincial martial arts tournament, it'll be worth it no matter how big the price is. But if Wang Lan learns the phantom trace and makes up for the flaws, it won't be easy for Jin City to win the championship. Silly child, that's an A-grade Takashi Hoshi skill, what are you thinking? If he wants to master it, it'll take him at least a month of research. Forget about the provincial martial arts tournament, even the college entrance examination will be over in a month. But even if that's the case, it's still the phantom trace. You can't bear to part with it? Yes, I haven't learned it yet. You're a fire-type Takashi Hoshi, so you're destined to walk the path of a mage. The maximum radius of the phantom trace is 20 meters, and the lethality of your blazing prairie is 30 meters. What's the point of learning this? Remember, there are many good and powerful Takashi Hoshi skills in the world, and not every Takashi Hoshi is suitable for them. A Takashi Hoshi will only start to become powerful when he has a precise positioning of himself. The phantom trace is suitable for Wang Lan, but it's not suitable for you. Moreover, it'll be good for you if you use the phantom trace to form good karma. No one knows how far Wang Lan will go in the future, so you need to work hard and not be left behind by your peers. Su Su raised her head proudly. Although Wang Lan was extremely talented and was an amazing genius, who was not a genius? Who was afraid of who? I'm sure that Wang Lan will become a leader in the future if nothing unexpected happens. If there's a chance, try to gather around him. Okay. Just as Su Xiangwen and the others were urging Wang Lan to quickly show off the phantom trace, the television outside suddenly broadcasted a preview of the fourth round of the round of 16. The group quickly walked out of the room and sat on the sofa. The avatars quickly changed, and the first one that popped up was Wang Lan's avatar. I'm in the starting lineup? Soon, the avatar on the right was fixed, and it was Jin City's representative, Zhang Yu. When he saw this avatar, Wang Lan was speechless. What a coincidence! It feels like it's been arranged. I've just mastered the phantom trace, and now I'm going to have an instant kill with an expert? When he saw this, Su Xiangwen gently patted Wang Lan's shoulder. Zhang Fei versus Li Kuei. Good luck. From your tone, I can tell that you don't mean it. How could that be? I actually think highly of you, very highly. Su Xiangwen winked at Wang Lan. His playful smile had deeply betrayed him. Indeed, even if Wang Lan learned the phantom trace, Wang Lan was still a beginner. Compared to Zhang Yu, a high-level expert who could instantly switch positions 4 times, it was nothing at all. However, Wang Lan was puzzled. Who told you that I'm going to compete with him in the phantom trace? After that, the second person from Su City's team was Mu Xiaoyun. His opponent was also very strong. However, Su City's team was not worried about Mu Xiaoyun. Mu Xiaoyun's performance was as steady as an old dog. His steadiness was not the steadiness of his strength, but the steadiness of his strength. It was as if his opponent had not even had the time to exert his strength and had already fallen. Many people could not understand his performance, and even some of the teachers who came to observe were beginning to feel confused. Finally, it was Jiang Xinyu's opponent. It was said that fate liked to play tricks on people. If you did not want to face something, fate would force you to face it. In the end, Jiang Xinyu faced Su Su, who was the only opponent that Jiang Xinyu did not have confidence in. Looking at the final battle list, Wang Lan's stiff neck turned slightly. Do you regret it? Jiang Xinyu rolled her eyes at Wang Lan, then gently brushed her snow-white thighs with her palm, and stood up gracefully. "Cece, let's go." "Ah? Sinew, are you angry? Go back to sleep and recharge your energy." "Oh." After the selection of the battle list ended, Wang Lan and the other two dispersed and went back to their rooms to rest. Although it was still early, it was necessary to rest early to prepare for tomorrow's competition. When he returned to his room, Wang Lan opened the system again. Previously, he had accidentally hit the wall, but he had not upgraded the Phantom Trace. The first time he used the wall crash skill, it was Wang Lan's own doing. It was obvious that he had just learned it, so it was obvious that this skill was still at the beginner stage. In terms of proficiency, he could barely use it, so practice made perfect. He opened the system and added his skill point. The vague sense of space from before gradually became clear and three-dimensional. After adding all 800 skill points, the Phantom Trace was finally upgraded to Silver Level 7. Wang Lan stood in the middle of the room, and in a flash, he appeared in front of the wall. He was less than 5 centimeters away from the wall. This time, his control of the flicker was accurate to within 10 centimeters. Wang Lan's figure flashed again, and 3 afterimages appeared in the air before he returned to his original position. 3 flashes, and it was as if he had reached perfection. At this point, the Phantom Trace could be considered to have been cultivated to a profound level. Although it was still lacking compared to Zhang Yu's 4 flashes, Wang Lan did not rely on the Phantom Trace to win. Against Zhang Yu, Wang Lan had about a 70% chance of winning. Satisfied, he went to sleep. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Wang Lan took out his phone in a daze and opened it. In his hazy state, Wang Lan was instantly awakened. He quickly got out of bed and put on his clothes as fast as he could. The moment the window opened, Wang Lan's figure had already disappeared. The phone vibrated. It was an emergency call for help from the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The target was less than 3 kilometers away from Wang Lan. Actually, it was not even 10 o'clock. If it was not for the competition, Wang Lan would not be sleeping at this time. His figure shuttled between the buildings. Before he landed, he was suddenly locked on by a strong aura. With a twist of her body, Wang Lan used Phantom Shadow Perplexing Track to appear on a fixed rooftop. Just as he landed, a strong light shone on Wang Lan's face. "Who are you? How dare you cause trouble at the provincial martial arts competition?" "Hello, teacher. I am a student participating in the competition. I have urgent business to attend to." Wang Lan hurriedly took out his Heavenly Sword Bureau ID. The other party took the ID and looked at Wang Lan suspiciously. If it were not for the Heavenly Sword Bureau ID that could not be faked, they would not have believed that a student was already a captain in the Heavenly Sword Bureau. After getting the approval of the Provincial Martial Arts Competition security, Wang Lan rushed to the target location again. When he arrived at the target location, the smoke from the battle had yet to disperse. However, the battle seemed to have ended. This was a small alley in the ancient city district. Leaning against a collapsed wall, a figure was dangling from the broken wall. Wang Lan took a closer look and his face turned strange. A captain on horseback? Chapter 230. Wang Lan quickly stepped forward to check. When he felt that Ma Dongwei was still breathing, he quickly pressed Ma Dongwei's chest to treat him. This Ma Dongwei was too unlucky. Last time, he was beaten half to death by the 3 foreigners. If Wang Lan had not arrived in time, he would have been dead by now. This time, he was in a state of near death, and his injury was more serious than last time. If it was someone else other than Wang Lan who came first, he would have been dead by now. When Wang Lan was treating Ma Dongwei, there was movement around him. Several Takashi Hoshi wearing black masks appeared strangely, and instantly attacked Wang Lan. Wang Lan's face sank. When he was about to stop the treatment and counterattack, he suddenly heard a few shouts. Lei Ken dash, Bing Chia dash. With a piercing sound, 2 streamers flashed in front of Wang Lan's eyes. The several figures that were slashing at Wang Lan were instantly split into two in the air. Blood splashed, like scattered blood-red rose petals. Li Gu and Zhang Xiaoxue appeared beside Wang Lan, guarding the left and right corners of Wang Lan. Wang Lan, what happened? I don't know. When I arrived, Captain Ma was already like this. It seems that we can only know when Captain Ma wakes up. Ma Dongwei's injury was very serious, but in Wang Lan's hands, it was not so serious. After 3 minutes, Ma Dongwei's injury was almost healed, and he slowly woke up. When he saw Wang Lan's palm on his chest to treat him, Ma Dongwei's face showed a relieved expression. Captain Ma, what happened? I don't know. Today I had an appointment to have dinner with Xiao Linzi. When I came here, I saw several gangsters dragging a drunk girl into the alley. I didn't expect it to be a trap. They suddenly launched a sneak attack on me. I was careless and was seriously injured. Although I killed a few of them, I still lost in the end. Xiao Linzi? Who? His name is Xianlin. He's my childhood friend. He was also a descendant of the Takashi Hoshi clan in Qinzhou. His grades were good, and he became Di Lao's disciple 7 years ago. Now, he was a tactical professor at Sibu Gakuen in Shanghai. This time, he came to Sioux City with Di Lao. When he found out that I was working at the Heavenly Sword Bureau, he asked me out for a drink. We haven't seen each other for almost 10 years. After hearing Ma Dongwei's words, Wang Lan's eyebrows twitched slightly. He asked you out? Yes. Does anyone know about your agreement? No one knows. He only asked me out this afternoon. I didn't tell anyone. Ma Dongwei frowned as he pondered. Tonight's attack was obviously premeditated, and it was premeditated after knowing his itinerary. At this moment Li Ji's phone rang. He answered the call. Hello? Li Chu, what? After a while, Li Gu put down the phone. Li Chu just called me. Di Lao's disciple was assassinated, what? Little Linzi. Ma Dongwei's expression suddenly changed. Shock and disbelief were written all over his face. How is that possible? Little Linzi, he's a Star Sea Realm expert. Star Sea Realm, that was the pinnacle of strength in the Takashi Hoshi world. Although in the Takashi Hoshi world, titled Takashi Hoshi were the pinnacle of strength, except for the 5 emperors, all titled Takashi Hoshi were Star Sea Realm experts. There wasn't much of a difference between Star Sea Realm experts. It wasn't easy to kill a Galaxy Realm expert, let alone a Star Sea Realm expert. Let's go! The 4 of them shouted in unison. Their figures flashed as they rushed towards the location of the incident. When Wang Lan and the others arrived, the entire restaurant had been isolated. There used to be a restaurant here, but it had been wiped out by a large hand and turned into ruins. Li Weixin, Wang Qianfeng and the others had already arrived. In front of them was a young man's corpse lying quietly on a stretcher. It was Di Lao's student Xianlin. Di Lao is here. Hu Qing came to the front of Wang Qianfeng and the other big shots and said in a low voice. Wang Qianfeng and the rest hurriedly went forward to welcome them. The black sedan stopped rapidly, and Di Lao, who was holding a walking stick, hurriedly got off the car. Di Lao, I'm sorry. We didn't do our job properly. You don't have to say any more. Di Lao stretched out his hand and interrupted Wang Qianfeng's words. I know little Lin's strength. Although his Dao foundation was damaged, he was still a genuine Star Sea Realm expert. To be able to kill him in such a short time and leave so calmly, the assassin definitely wasn't a nobody. Yes, according to the clues we found, the person who killed Mr. Xianlin should be Wang Mingling. While speaking, Di Lao had already arrived in front of Xianlin's corpse. The injuries on Xianlin's body weren't obvious. Only his chest was fatally wounded. Xianlin's face was still filled with regret and anger. Wang Mingling? Is he the traitor who wanted my life? Yes. Wang Mingling is the leader of the Hellfire terrorist organization, but according to our investigation, he might have already joined the Birds of Paradise. No wonder. Little Lin was first hit by an illusion technique before being killed by Wang Mingling. And according to my understanding of Little Lin, even a powerful illusion technique wouldn't be able to make him fall for it directly, let alone so deeply. Wang Mingling understood Little Lin very well. At least, he targeted the flaw in Little Lin's heart. Mr. Xian Lin's heart flaw. The person Little Lin worships the most is Little Phoenix. Although he was born in the Takashi Hoshi clan, his Takashi Hoshi clan hasn't given birth to a Takashi Hoshi for 3 generations. Little Lin is the hope of the entire clan. Therefore, since he was young, under his own request and the clan's pressure, Little Lin desperately raised Takashi Hoshi's level and strength. Everything has a limit. Once it's exceeded, it won't be enough. He raised Takashi Hoshi's level too much, causing his Dao foundation to become unstable. After I found out, I also felt that it was a pity. He was originally the most promising disciple among my many disciples to surpass the Star Sea realm and reach a higher realm. However, because of one wrong step, he missed it. After Little Lin found out, he also felt extremely pained. This is the knot in his heart. He was originally so close to Little Phoenix, but because of his eagerness for quick success, he failed on the verge of success. Unless there was an illusion technique that targeted this, the murderer absolutely couldn't have killed Little Lin so easily. In other words, Mr. Xian Lin's information was leaked? How many people know about this? Wang Lan suddenly asked. Di Lao turned his head and looked kindly at Wang Lan. Not many people know. Now, there are 2 clues that can be traced. Li Gu said faintly. One is how the murderer knew about Mr. Xian Lin and Captain Ma's whereabouts and who leaked their whereabouts. The other is who leaked Mr. Xian Lin's information. That's right. Leave this matter to our intelligence department. Wang Qianfeng immediately said to Lu Zhao. That's not right. Shouldn't this matter be our law enforcement department's matter? He Mingxue quickly retorted. Is there still a law enforcement department now? You're so busy. Haven't you been dealing with the Shadow Operations Department? But the Law Enforcement Department is still my trademark. Don't argue. No matter who investigates, I only want the truth. Wang Lan still had a competition tomorrow, so he could only leave first. He walked towards the Grand Hyatt Hotel alone. He was still thinking about what was going on. Even if Wang Mingling wanted to make a move on Di Lao, what was the reason for assassinating Xian Lin? Was it a show of force? That was even more unreasonable. Di Lao was one of the 5 elders and had experienced ups and downs in his life. How could he be intimidated just by killing the people around him? Then Di Lao wouldn't be Di Lao. Because of the assassination, the surrounding area within 5 kilometers of the city was under martial law. Therefore, there were only a few people on the streets, which should have been a bustling business district filled with pedestrians. Suddenly, a figure sneaked past in front of him. He was wearing the red uniform of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Wang Lan was curious. Why would a brother from the Heavenly Sword Bureau come here and act so sneakily? If there was a secret mission, the Heavenly Sword Bureau's brother would be wearing casual clothes. In an instant, countless information streams flashed through his mind. Finally, he focused on the keywords Heavenly Sword Bureau and mole. Wang Lan hesitated for a moment but still decided to follow him quietly. Although the risk was higher, if he discovered something, it would be a huge gain. As for the possibility of an ambush, Wang Lan estimated that the hotel was less than 1 kilometer away. If he called for help immediately, all the experts from the Heavenly Sword Bureau would rush over as soon as possible. In the Phoenix form, it wouldn't be a problem for him to last 5 minutes. Coupled with the Phantom Shadow Perplexing track and the combination of the 4 Takashi Hoshi techniques, the combat power of the Phoenix form exceeded the peak of the Galaxy grade. Wang Lan really shouldn't stay in the Heavenly Sword Bureau if he didn't dare to take the risk under such circumstances. His figure flashed, and he silently followed after Zhang Xian. Looking at the other person's back from afar, he found him somewhat familiar. This person was definitely from the Heavenly Sword Bureau, and he had seen him before. Because he could only see the other person's back, Wang Lan couldn't confirm the other person's identity. Red coat. That was the standard of a captain. Who could it be? He followed the other person into a small park. There were 3 small districts around this park. However, as soon as he entered the park, the figure in front of him suddenly disappeared. Oh no! It's a trap! Wang Lan was instantly alert. He hurriedly pressed the SOS button on his phone. When the signal was sent, Wang Lan bent his body and looked around vigilantly. There was no movement in the surroundings. It was as if the person had really disappeared. Wang Lan quietly walked along the cobblestone path and explored forward, vigilant of the wind and grass in the surrounding trees. Suddenly, there was a soft sound. A figure jumped down from the tree beside him, sneakily attacking Wang Lan. Without any hesitation, Wang Lan instantly retreated. At the same time, a crescent moon arrow shot out. It shot past the black figure without any obstruction and soared into the sky. Wan Kuei, where are you? Wan Kuei, look, there's movement over there. There was a shout from afar. At this moment, Wang Lan's face revealed a bitter smile. He had never imagined that the demon race, or perhaps the mastermind behind the scenes, would play such a childish trick with him, framing him. At Wang Lan's feet, there was a person lying on his back. Wang Lan recognized this person. He was a contestant from Tong City's representative team. However, he had lost to Mu Xiaoyun the day before yesterday. This guy's name was Wan Kuei, who was faintly heard behind him. Alright, he was starting to be shameless. Soon, the sound behind him grew closer. 5 or 6 figures appeared. A teacher was leading a few students. Who is it? The teacher looked at Wang Lan, whose back was facing them, warily and sternly shouted. Chapter 231. Wan Kuei. Suddenly, a student pointed at Wang Lan's feet. Under the streetlight there was a pale face. In the middle of his chest, there was a hole where the crescent moon arrow had pierced through. This position, this appearance, this was a crime scene, and it was the kind where the thief was caught red-handed. Sioux City's Wang Lan student? The teacher strode forward, but after taking 3 steps, his face suddenly changed. Wan Kuei student. Crescent moon arrow. You killed Wan Kuei? If I said I didn't kill him, would you believe me? Do it, drag him to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The teacher from Tong City's representative team instantly attacked Wang Lan. Although the other party was a teacher, he was only a teacher from Takashi Hoshi High School. To be honest, the quality of Takashi Hoshi High School's teachers was similar to that of Sioux City's Takashi Hoshi High School. At best, they were star-blazing. Want to take down Wang Lan? Wang Lan didn't need Takashi Hoshi's skills. He could beat him to the ground just by fighting. Takashi Hoshi's fist came, but Wang Lan just stood there, unmoved. The moment the teacher's fist swept past the afterimage, Wang Lan's figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 5 meters away. Teacher, can you listen to my explanation? What else is there to explain? If you want to explain, go to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The teacher shouted angrily. The students from Tong City's representative team immediately surrounded him. Moreover, the strength of the students from Tong City's representative team was not on the same level as the teacher. Wang Lan could easily block the teacher's attack, but he couldn't block a group of abnormal nebula students. Okay, Heavenly Sword Bureau, right? Wang Lan took out his ID, opened it, and leaned against the streetlight in front of the teacher. I am from the Heavenly Sword Bureau. At this moment, Wang Lan had an indescribable feeling of strangeness. A sentence appeared in his mind. Who are you, and why are you suing me? At such a young age, you don't even know how to act properly. How can a high school student like you be from the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Killing people and impersonating the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Do you really not know how to spell the word death? Who impersonated the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Li Guo, Zhang Yeqiu, Zhang Xiaoxue, and Wang Qianfeng instantly appeared beside Wang Lan. Wang Qianfeng's black military uniform was not obvious in the dark park, but Li Ji's uniform, red military uniform, was very conspicuous. I'm Wang Qianfeng, Chief of the Heavenly Sword Bureau's Intelligence Division. What can I do for you, sir? Looking at Wang Qianfeng and the people beside him, the teacher's eyes flashed with suspicion. Are you really from the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Then Wang Lan is also from the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Wang Lan is a special agent of our intelligence division. Is there some misunderstanding? Misunderstanding? Well, Wang Lan killed someone and you're not going to do anything about it? The teacher pointed at Wan Kuei's body on the ground. My Tong City student was killed by a crescent moon arrow, and just now I saw it with my own eyes. If the Heavenly Sword Bureau intends to cover it up and not deal with it, I will appeal to the higher-ups. Wang Qianfeng looked at the body on the ground, then at Wang Lan. What exactly happened? I just went back and saw a shadow of our Heavenly Sword Bureau on the side of the road. I saw that he was sneaking around and wearing a uniform, so I suspected that he had something to do with a mole, so I followed him. By the time I got here, the mole had disappeared. I guessed that I was going to be tricked, so I sent a message to the organization. Then, a black shadow attacked me from a tree. I raised my hand and shot an arrow, but I didn't expect this to be the situation. Nonsense. Can't you be more logical? What grudge do you have against Wan Kuei that he would suddenly attack you? Yes, I have no grudge against Wan Kuei, so why would I kill him? Also, it's so late. What is Wan Kuei doing here? What am I doing here? There are many suspicious points in this matter. Can't you see? But Wan Kuei is dead and you are alive. Wan Kuei's death is related to you. Even if you are from the Heavenly Sword Bureau, you should cooperate with the Heavenly Sword Bureau's investigation. You can only regain your freedom after you are cleared of suspicion. Wang Lan's expression changed when he heard this. He stared at the teacher in charge of Tong City. I still have a competition tomorrow. Is that your goal? What a joke. That's basic logic. Your opponent tomorrow is from Jin City, not Tong City. Why would I harm you because of this? Chief Wang Chu, I know that the Heavenly Sword Bureau has great power, but no matter how great its power is, it can't be greater than the Constitution of Jade State, right? Wang Qianfeng pondered seriously. After a long silence, Wang Qianfeng said, Take Wang Lan back to the Heavenly Sword Bureau for investigation. Sitting in the car, Wang Lan crossed his arms and sulked. Li Gu drove and turned to look at Wang Lan beside him, and Wang Qianfeng behind him. Wang Lan, Chief Wang Chu, is also acting according to the rules. Don't think too much about it. Although the teacher in Tong City is not a good person, he is still the teacher in charge of Tong City's representative team. He represents Tong City's reputation. We have to act according to the rules. Moreover, this is clearly a frame-up. We will definitely clear you of suspicion as soon as possible. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking that the demon's spy used such a childish and clumsy method to frame me. His purpose is obviously not to frame me. His purpose is just to delay me. The words of the teacher in charge of Tong City made me understand that they just don't want me to continue participating in the competition. Tomorrow is my first match. If I miss it, I will forfeit. I won't be able to participate in the competition. What good will it do them if I can't participate in the competition? Isn't it simple? What if the demon's plan is in the competition? If you can't participate, they can kick you out. No, even if I miss the competition, I will still be in the stands. Many of the Heavenly Sword Bureau's brothers will also be at the competition site. It's meaningless to just kick me out of the competition. Unless they kick us all out of the competition. Don't worry about that. I will clear you of suspicion tonight. Go back to the Heavenly Sword Bureau and rest. Don't worry about anything else. Rest well for tomorrow's competition. Wang Qianfeng, who was sitting in the back seat, interrupted the conversation between the two. In the conference room, Lu Zhao and the heads of the various departments gathered together. Director, the preliminary results are out. He Mingxue said with a serious expression. We found a listening device in Ma Dongwei's phone. It is very small and can block the latest anti-listening devices. Ma Dongwei's phone is bugged? Work phone? Yes, work phone. This is also the reason why Xian Lin asked Ma Dongwei out for a meal and set up an ambush. Is there a problem with Ma Dongwei? No. He Mingxue shook his head. Xian Lin took the initiative to contact Ma Dongwei. They are childhood friends and haven't contacted each other for a long time. Xian Lin took the initiative to contact Ma Dongwei when he found out that Ma Dongwei was in the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Then how did Xian Lin know about Ma Dongwei? Director Li Xiao of the Confidential Information Department. He Mingxue gently pushed his glasses. When Li Xiao was arranging Di Lao's accommodation and defense work, he told Xian Lin that Ma Dongwei's phone number was also given to him by Li Xiao. Moreover, it wasn't just Ma Dongwei. 1/3 of the mobile phones in the action department were installed with listening devices. These work phones were all issued by the Confidential Information Department. Last year, the second-generation mobile phones were updated. There were 2 departments that issued the second-generation mobile phones, the General Affairs Department and the Confidential Information Department. The General Affairs Department issued new mobile phones, and the Confidential Information Department was responsible for exchanging old phones for new ones. All the mobile phones that were involved in the incident were issued by the Confidential Information Department. So, there's a problem with the Confidential Information Department. If I'm not mistaken, the mole we've been looking for is Li Xiao of the Confidential Information Department. Then what are we waiting for? Lu Zhao asked with an unfriendly expression. But Li Xiao has disappeared. He Mingxue said with an ugly expression. Now we can't be sure if Li Xiao fled for fear of punishment or was used as a scapegoat and then killed to silence him. All the conclusions can only be made after we find Li Xiao. If he's alive, we have to see him. If he's dead, we have to see his corpse. Oh right, there's another situation here. Tonight, Wang Lan was framed when he returned to Lu Xing. The back view of the person wearing the Heavenly Sword Bureau uniform who lured Wang Lan seemed to be Li Xiao. Wang Qianfeng's words almost confirmed that Li Xiao was the mole. However, the less contradictory and the more common the clues were, the more likely it was that the enemy was trying to frame them. What's the matter with Wang Lan being framed? Wang Lan has been ruled out as a suspect. Although the deceased, Wan Kuei, was shot in the chest by Wang Lan's crescent arrow, Wan Kuei's real time of death was 3 days ago. In other words, Wang Mingling's hand has already reached into the provincial martial arts competition. It's not hard to guess the motive of framing Wang Lan. It's to make Wang Lan lose his right to compete. Either the demons deliberately took revenge on Wang Lan so that he couldn't get into the 4 Cebu Gakuen, or the other party's plan has a lot to do with Wang Lan's presence at the scene. I don't know if it's good or bad for Wang Lan to be valued by the demons. Anyway, Wang Lan will participate in the competition tomorrow as usual. He's already resting. Since Wang Mingling hasn't given up on assassinating Di Lao, we'll let none of them leave alive. From tomorrow onwards, all the combat personnel of the Heavenly Sword Bureau will be stationed at the provincial martial arts competition venue. If Wang Mingling dares to come, he won't be able to return. Yes. This time, Wang Lan slept without any pressure. He didn't have any psychological burden if he didn't do it. However, the people from Tong City's representative team didn't stay idle when they returned. Overnight, Wang Lan from Su City's representative team had killed Wan Kuei from Tong City's representative team. Now, the news of him being brought back to the Heavenly Sword Bureau for investigation had spread like wildfire. There were many onlookers who discussed animatedly and had clear opinions. Some people believed it while others didn't. However, the strange thing was that no one from Su City's representative team came out to refute the rumors or explain. It was as if the rumors outside had nothing to do with them. Jiang Xinyu wasn't worried about Wang Lan's situation. Instead, she was worried about whether Wang Lan could make it in time for today's first competition. The provincial martial arts competition was a serious and solemn competition. If you were late for the college entrance exam, you wouldn't be able to enter the competition venue. If you were late for the competition, you would naturally be considered to have forfeited. In the sports hall, the colorful flags were still fluttering. Jiang Xinyu kept looking back at the entrance, but she still didn't see Wang Lan's figure. For the first time, Jiang Xinyu hoped that the director on the stage, who was full of nonsense, would talk a little more nonsense and buy more time. However, the countdown to the start of the competition still sounded. Now, let's welcome contestants Wang Lan and Zhang Yu to the stage for the first round of the Provincial Martial Arts Competition's fourth round. Contestant Zhang Yu has already entered the stage. Contestant Wang Lan? Has contestant Wang Lan arrived yet? Contestant Wang Lan has gone to the toilet. Please wait a moment. No, wait a moment. If contestant Wang Lan doesn't enter the stage, it will be considered as a forfeit. Contestant Wang Lan, please enter the stage. The referee suddenly changed his words. In the depths of his vision, he saw a figure running madly towards the venue. This morning, the roads were blocked. Wang Lan could only rely on his legs to run 13 kilometers. Chapter 232. Wang Lan arrived just in time, and the audience stood up one after another. Many of the eliminated contestants cheered and clapped excitedly. In the fourth round, more than half of the 13 cities had been shaved bald. Since there was no competition, they naturally watched the competition as normal spectators. Wang Lan's strength had already convinced them. Wouldn't it be a pity if they missed the competition because they were late? However, Tong City's representative team didn't think so. "I protest," someone shouted. "I protest against the organizers. They can't let a murderer participate in the competition. It's unfair to Wan Kuei. Teacher Xing, this is the Certificate of Innocence jointly signed by the Heavenly Sword Bureau and the Sioux City Superintendent. It's also publicly announced on the Superintendent's official website. If you have any questions, you can ask the Superintendent and the Heavenly Sword Bureau for confirmation. However, if you accuse me of being a murderer again, I can sue you for slander." Teacher Xing looked at Wang Lan with a gloomy expression in the stands of Tong City's representative team. In the end, he didn't flare up again. Instead, he hurriedly called Tong City's Heavenly Sword Bureau. Zhang Yu looked at Wang Lan and smiled. "Do you want to rest for a while? I'm not in a hurry." "Thank you. Speaking of which, I was also surprised when I heard that you killed someone yesterday. Although Tong City's representative team has been clamoring, I don't think it's possible. Even if you want to kill someone, you should kill me. A fellow who's already been eliminated isn't worth it. I'm a law-abiding student." Suddenly, Zhang Yu asked with a smile, "Have you killed someone before?" This question made Wang Lan's gaze turn cold. He didn't know what Zhang Yu wanted to say. "I've killed someone before," Zhang Yu suddenly said. "When I was in the training field, there were always people who thought I was a student. Moreover, they felt that there was an opportunity to kill exotic beasts alone. However, it was also because of them that I completed Phantom Step." "Congratulations. Have you rested enough?" "Yes." Sioux City's Wang Lan. "Please enlighten me." Jin City's Zhang Yu. "Please enlighten me." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Yu's figure dashed towards Wang Lan. Phantom Track had a range limit, just like the range of mages. Wang Lan, who had learned Phantom Steps, knew that this distance was 20 meters. Wang Lan's body was instantly wrapped in lightning. When he faced Zhang Yu, 7 lightning afterimages suddenly exploded. Wang Lan's real body was hidden in the afterimages of the lightning. Other than himself, no one knew which one was Wang Lan's real body. Zhang Yu's figure disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he appeared amidst a remnant of lightning. With a slash of his saber, he severed the remnant of lightning. However, Wang Lan's lightning afterimage was not an ordinary afterimage. When the figure was cut in half by Zhang Yui, a mournful electric arc instantly lit up. Boom! An explosion rang out and spread out in all directions. Endless electric arcs spread out and engulfed Zhang Yu's figure. In the stands, everyone held their breaths and revealed an amazed expression. In the beginning, there had been no probing, no back and forth. Instead, there had been a life-and-death battle? Zhang Yu's Takashi Hoshi technique was somewhat unfathomable to the current Nebula students, let alone Wang Lan, the star blazing. Facing such a difficult Takashi Hoshi technique, shouldn't he have probed it first and found a flaw to counter it? In the Tong City stands, Teacher Xing put down his phone. His expression was uncertain. "Teacher, what do you think? Wan Kuei's death might really have nothing to do with Wang Lan." The Tong City Heavenly Sword Bureau also agrees with Mr. Su's judgment. "Then how did Wan Kuei die?" "That's confidential. It's not something we should ask. Watch the match carefully. Even if you can participate, so what? You can't possibly be Zhang Yu's opponent." Phantom Track is recognized as one of the strongest Takashi Hoshi techniques even among A-rank Takashi Hoshi technique. It's also known as an A-rank Takashi Hoshi technique with S-rank power. The electric arc dissipated. Zhang Yu's figure was nowhere to be seen. Wang Lan didn't think that his doppelganger bomb could blow Zhang Yu to smithereens. The lightning shadows kept intertwining, and Wang Lan's real body kept changing positions among them. Suddenly, a strong sense of danger came from behind. Wang Lan's heartstrings instantly tightened. His figure flashed and appeared in another shadow. Almost at the same time, Zhang Yu's katana swept past the shadow's waist and slashed. Before the shadow could explode, Zhang Yu's figure flashed. The second, the third, and the fourth. Zhang Yu flashed 4 times in an instant and cut down 4 of Wang Lan's lightning clones. No matter how good Wang Lan was at hiding, it was useless in front of the speed of the slashes. Zhang Yu's figure disappeared again. The remaining 2 clones naturally couldn't dodge the 2 high-speed slashes. Schwa! Almost instantly Zhang Yu appeared in front of him. If Perplexing Phantom Track only had a high movement speed and a flash ability, it wouldn't pose much of a threat to Wang Lan. But Zhang Yu's Phantom Trace wasn't as simple as flashing. It was Zhang Yu's super-fast reflexes. It was like some people's skipping rope. Some could jump 60 times, 80 times, or even 100 times in a minute. But if you wanted to try jumping 200 times or 300 times, that wasn't something a normal person could do. Zhang Yu's reflexes, in ancient terms, were amazing and gifted. If one wanted to learn fast hand tricks, it would take 1 or 2 years for others to practice their hand speed. But he could skip that time. If one wanted to join the thief sect, he would definitely be unrivaled in the world. When Zhang Yu appeared in front of you, his katana would have already stabbed down before you could react. He was born with the active attribute of the body. It was simply a bug. Even Wang Lan could barely keep up with Zhang Yu's speed under the active attribute of lightning. Dang! With a soft sound, Wang Lan's figure instantly retreated. In the blink of an eye, he had retreated 20 meters away. Zhang Yu's katana could actually resist Wang Lan's flaming katana? What kind of divine weapon was this katana? The flaming katana had a temperature of nearly 10,000 degrees Celsius. Coupled with the attribute change, it could even cut a 10 centimeters thick steel plate. But when the katana hit the opponent's katana was intact. His plan to break the opponent's katana was a merciless failure. Although there were a lot of thoughts in his mind, Wang Lan's hands didn't stop moving. The moment he jumped 20 meters away, he raised his hand and shot a crescent moon arrow at Zhang Yu. The arrow was mixed with lightning, and its speed was 3 times faster. Zhang Yu's figure flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. The crescent moon arrow flew into the air and disappeared after it passed the shooting range. When Zhang Yu appeared again, he didn't get close to Wang Lan. The phantom trace only had 20 meters of space to move. So, Wang Lan had enough time to use the lightning shadow again. Whoosh, 7 shadows appeared again. Frankly speaking, it was quite disgusting. Although the phantom trace was powerful, its consumption of star power was also quite terrifying. Similarly, Wang Lan's consumption of star power was also very terrifying. If not for the fact that Wang Lan had learned the Yang seal and upgraded it to silver, which could store twice as much star power, Wang Lan's star power would have been used up when he used the lightning shadow for the first time. A star blazing and a nebula competing in star power. This was such a strange and stupid decision. But Wang Lan's strategy was that stupid decision. Even if the phantom trace was a Takashi Hoshi skill that consumed a lot of star power, nebula's star power was still there. Whoosh, Zhang Yu's figure instantly flashed past 4 shadows. 4 flashes, and before the explosion of the lightning shadow could rise, he had already left. If you want to waste time, then I'll waste time. In the Heavenly Sword Bureau, a group of big shots sat quietly in the conference room after a meeting to watch the live broadcast. Di Lao, accompanied by Lu Zhao, stared at the screen. Suddenly, Lu Zhao turned to look at Wang Qianfeng in confusion. Isn't Wang Lan's star power too dense? You didn't tell me that Wang Lan had an advantage in terms of star power. Everyone in the office was on the same side, so there was no need for anyone to pretend. Wang Lan's star power level is normal after the test. It doesn't have an excessive amount of star power. Could it be that his body has mutated again recently? Mutated? Di Lao frowned. Has Wang Lan's body mutated before? No. Wang Qianfeng blurted out, but after realizing that he had said something wrong, he quickly corrected himself. It's Wang Lan, right? Impossible things always happen to him. For example, he can actually learn the Phoenix form, which can't be learned before reaching the Galaxy Realm. Also, he clearly doesn't have a Thunder attribute talent, but he can learn the Thunder attribute Takashi Hoshi technique. Then, after learning the Thunder attribute Takashi Hoshi technique, he was tested to actually have a Thunder attribute talent. Let's make a joke. If he isn't mutated, then what is? There's such a thing. However, Wang Lan's star power isn't dense. He just learned the Yang sealing technique. Di Lao immediately smiled, but he sighed softly in his heart. He is indeed a person with half the spiritual realm's bloodline. Zhang Yu once again cut through the void, cutting apart the remaining 2 afterimages of Wang Lan. At this moment, Wang Lan was forced to the edge of the arena. Zhang Yu was blocking her way forward, and she was restricted by the arena when retreating. At this moment, Wang Lan had no other choice but to give it her all. Just as Zhang Yu's edge swept past Wang Lan's throat, Wang Lan suddenly disappeared. At this moment, Zhang Yu's face changed. Wang Lan didn't use the phantom perplexing track, so Zhang Yu assumed that Wang Lan didn't know how to do it. However, the moment Wang Lan used the phantom perplexing track, Zhang Yu had already sensed it. Ghost Weep pierced through the void, heading towards Zhang Yu's waist. At this critical moment, Zhang Yu didn't have time to think. His figure flashed and disappeared. The moment Zhang Yu disappeared, Wang Lan also disappeared. Many people couldn't understand this scene. Countless people had stunned and incredulous expressions on their faces. However, the teacher in charge of Jin City's team, Ni Yushu, suddenly stood up and looked at the flashing scene in front of him with a stunned expression. He learned it? It only took him 1 night? No, he was also caught up in a murder case. He didn't even spend a night. How was this possible? Since when was the phantom perplexing track a Takashi Hoshi technique that could be learned so casually? 1 night? Was this a joke? Wouldn't it be difficult to even understand the cultivation method in 1 night? Zhang Yu had 1 more chance to flash, while Wang Lan had 2. This was Wang Lan's plan. When Zhang Yu reappeared, Wang Lan followed him like a shadow. Facing Wang Lan's sword, Zhang Yu couldn't dodge. He gritted his teeth and blocked with his saber. However, Wang Lan's saber was only an afterimage. Or rather, it was only an illusion left behind by Zhang Yu. In the next moment, Wang Lan's ghost whip landed on Zhang Yu's shoulder. Wang Lan was behind Zhang Yu, less than 5 centimeters away. You lost. Chapter 233. How do you know? How do you know? Phantom steps? Zhang Yu's expression kept changing, and he finally asked with difficulty. Is it that hard to understand why I know phantom steps? The perplexing phantom track is the secret technique of Jin City's Star Martial Arts Academy. You're just a student from Sioux City. Su was seriously injured yesterday, and even the 2 medical masters couldn't heal her. However, she suddenly recovered last night. Did she make a deal with you? Wang Lan frowned slightly. He had to admit that Wang Lan did not have any psychological burden. Their deal was fair and aboveboard, and Ni was the one who asked for the exchange. No matter what, it would not be Wang Lan's fault. However, Wang Lan smiled when he saw Zhang Yu's flustered and exasperated expression. What era is it now? Why are you still keeping secrets? The existence of the academy is to teach Takashi Hoshi technique. If there's really some kind of secret, then don't open Seibu Gakuen. The country has repeatedly ordered to promote the circulation of Takashi Hoshi techniques, and the Takashi Hoshi techniques have no owner. What do you mean by Seibu Gakuen's secret? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Moreover, even if we made a deal last night, how can I display a proficiency that's second only to yours today? Think about it, how much time did it take to cultivate to your level? Wang Lan's words immediately dispelled Zhang Yu's suspicions. It was not that he approved of Wang Lan's character. How could an A-grade Takashi Hoshi technique be so easy to cultivate? He still remembered how much pain he had to go through to cultivate Phantom Step. However, although that's true, Seibu Gakuen doesn't easily spread some Takashi Hoshi techniques to the public in order to maintain their core competitiveness. Otherwise, Seibu Gakuen's Dragon Emperor form would have been everywhere in Shanghai. However, you're right, I've lost, and I've lost wholeheartedly. In order to cultivate the Phantom Shadow Perplexing track, I spent almost all of my time on it for the past 3 years. This Takashi Hoshi really didn't disappoint me. I've fought countless people over the past 3 years, and I've rarely lost. It is precisely because I know that it is not easy to cultivate the perplexing phantom steps that I am convinced of your strength. You have cultivated so many star martial skills, and they have all reached a profound stage. Under these circumstances, you are still able to cultivate Phantom Shadow Perplexing track to this stage. Whether it is talent or hard work, I may not be able to compare to you. Therefore, I lost. Beep. Wang Lan wins. Congratulations to the host for completing the 4th round of the provincial martial competition. You are the first to enter the top 8. The reward is 8,000 experience points and 800 skill points. The sound of nature sounded in his mind. Suddenly, a warm current flowed through his body. Wang Lan was just about to turn around when his body suddenly stopped. He hurriedly sank his consciousness into his spiritual sea. He hadn't looked at the system for a long time. He only knew that Nebula was not far away, but as for how close, Wang Lan actually didn't pay attention to it because so many things had happened in the past few days. When the system panel appeared in front of his eyes, Star Brilliance 9's experience points had already rushed to the top. In an instant, a light wheel rose from the system panel like firework. The 2 people who were leaving the arena unexpectedly stopped in their tracks at the same time. Wang Lan felt that he was about to break through, while Zhang Yu felt that Wang Lan seemed to be breaking through. Students, do you still have any doubts? The referee walked over in large strides, but just as he approached, the spiritual power fluctuations on Wang Lan's body swept over like waves. Zhang Yu turned around abruptly, his expression horrified as if he had seen a ghost. F***CK. Su Xiangwen stood up abruptly. This scene was too F***king familiar. This was not the first time Wang Lan had done such a shameful thing. Even if he didn't feel the fluctuations of astral power, he could already guess what Wang Lan was doing. Wang Lan, he's... Jiang Xinyu was slightly hesitant. Although she already had a guess, she didn't dare to believe it. He broke through? That's impossible. Didn't he just finish the fight? It's not the first time that bastard Lan Zi broke through after a fight. Do you remember the Takashi Hoshi tournament? It was the same. Wait, Lan Zi should be at the peak of star brilliance now, right? So, he's going to break through Nebula? In the stands, more and more people realized what Wang Lan was doing. How could such a nonsensical thing really happen? Wasn't this supposed to be a plot in a TV series? The teachers in charge of observing stood up simultaneously. Then, under the visible fluctuations of spiritual power around Wang Lan, many students realized that Wang Lan was breaking through. Are you kidding me? Breaking through after a fight? How can he ensure that his star palace is full of astral power? Don't tell me that his astral power increases the more he uses it. I now have reason to suspect that this guy secretly swallowed soul beads during the competition. Are you stupid? Let's not talk about whether or not Zhang Yu would discover him swallowing the soul orbs. Even if he wasn't discovered, did you see the frequency of the battle just now? Does he still have a chance to use soul beads? Then explain what's going on. This is absolutely against common sense. Our ancestors' coffin can't hold on any longer. Compared to the fact that the live audience couldn't accept Wang Lan's breakthrough after the fight, the internet was much more accepting. It wasn't the first time, so there was nothing strange about it. It's a familiar scene, and it's a familiar formula. Guess what's the reason for the breakthrough this time? Is he excited because he won? Isn't that right? It was the same last time. He broke through because he was excited, and it turned into a spectacular scene of dozens of contestants ganging up on one person backstage. Could it be that Wang Lan cheated? Secretly taking drugs? The one upstairs who eats lemons. Our Wolf King has a history of breaking through like this. It's not the first time, get used to it. Boom. Suddenly, the spiritual power around Wang Lan turned into bright red flames and swept around. The heat wave turned into a hurricane, and the entire stadium was swept up. In an instant, the system layout was updated, and new data appeared in front of Wang Lan. Character, Wang Lan. Level, Nebula Level 1. The red and blue slots on the left side of the character instantly lengthened and widened. The changes in the data were only data, and the changes that Wang Lan felt were the most real. His strength, reflexes, and physical strength had all been greatly enhanced. The most obvious change was his astral power, which expanded rapidly like an explosion. It was originally just a warm current, but now it felt like it had condensed into a substance. The density of his astral power was at least 5 times greater than before. If they were to fight with the same quality again, Wang Lan wouldn't even need to use the sealed astral power to fight Zhang Yu head-on. After the breakthrough, Wang Lan's momentum returned to calmness. Once again, he strode towards the spectator's stand without any regard for his family. As Wang Lan moved, countless eyes were still fixed on Wang Lan, until Wang Lan returned to his seat and sat down quietly. You broke through? Yes. Wang Lan frowned and answered in a low voice. Nebula? Yes. Smack, Su Xianwen slapped the back of Wang Lan's head. Wang Lan looked up and saw a pair of red eyes like a rabbit. The blue veins at the corner of his eyebrows twitched slightly. Lan Zi, you've broken through. Why do I feel that you're not very satisfied? Why do you look like you're going to a funeral? It's just a breakthrough. It's not the first time. There's nothing to say. Su Xianwen couldn't stand these words. He stood up fiercely, but was held down by Gong Feiyu. This is Lan Zi's pretentious trick. Don't be fooled. Calm down. Su Xianwen gritted his teeth. Wang Lan's smiling face made him unhappy no matter how he looked at it. He really wanted to leave a footprint on Wang Lan's face. The next round had officially begun. Everyone's attention was on the next round. Wang Lan, on the other hand, was immersed in his spiritual sea. He was very busy now. What was he busy with? There were so many Takashi Hoshi skills waiting for him to upgrade to the gold level. Now all the Takashi Hoshi skills, except for Phantom Trace, which was silver level 7, were silver level 9. With such purity, it would be a waste if he didn't upgrade them all to gold. Having just earned 800 skill points, Wang Lan, who was rich, of course counted them. He added 1 point to Nebula Sword Dance. Instantly, the silver-white skill icon turned gold as if it had turned stone into gold. In an instant, Wang Lan's mind was filled with a piercing pain. The gold-level Nebula Sword Dance made Wang Lan's eyes sparkle. Previously, Wang Lan was only able to create a dozen or so afterimages. However, after turning into gold, she was able to instantly create afterimages that could jump left and right. Although Wang Lan hadn't used it yet, she was certain that it was the kind that could scare people to death. The Nebula Sword Dance had become so awesome. What about the Flaming Blade? After lighting up the Flaming Blade, Wang Lan's feelings changed instantly. That moment of excitement almost overflowed his aura. Su Xiangwen, who was sitting beside Wang Lan, asked hesitantly, "Just now, why did I suddenly feel a little dangerous?" He secretly looked at Wang Lan. "That's definitely your illusion." Wang Lan raised his head and gave him a harmless smile. Flaming Blade, gold level. It was no longer an increase in the temperature of the flames, but an increase in the control of the flames. Previously, although the Flaming Blade had many variations, such as vertical Flaming Blade, horizontal Flaming Blade, and so on, the Flaming Blade couldn't be used without Wang Lan's hands. Just like the Wind Release Rasengan under normal circumstances. But once it was upgraded to gold level, the Flaming Blade could be thrown out. This was amazing. The Flaming Blade didn't have a fixed shape. It could transform into any shape of a sharp blade. Could it release a flaming shuriken? This idea flowed through his mind. Wang Lan was so excited that he couldn't wait to try it out. Since the Nebula Sword Dance and Flaming Blade were upgraded to gold level, the Thunder Snake and Crescent Moon Arrow naturally couldn't be left behind. But Crescent Moon Arrow wasn't silver 999, so upgrading these two to gold level consumed 200 skill points. After that, Wang Lan upgraded Basic Combat, Basic Movement, Basic Sword Technique, Basic Blade Technique, and the most important Inch Punch to gold level. With this major upgrade, Wang Lan didn't know how much stronger he had become. But one thing was for sure. In the past, Wang Lan said that he could fight against 10 people. Anyway, bragging wasn't illegal. "Wang Lan, why are you still in a daze? It's noon, let's go eat." Oh, when Wang Lan upgraded Phantom Trace to gold level, he still had 100 skill points left. But in the future, it wouldn't be so easy to upgrade skills. After a skill reached gold level, every level required 1,000 skill points. A skill from gold to platinum level required 10,000 skill points. Even if it was mainly to upgrade Takashi Hoshi, it wouldn't be enough. It was time to give up on basic skills. Chapter 234. After eating, Wang Lan once again upgraded Phantom Trace to gold level. At this moment, Wang Lan could be considered to have exchanged a shotgun for a cannon. At this time, it was also Jiang Sinyu's turn to go on stage. Su Su and Jiang Sinyu were like clones with opposing fates. Jiang Sinyu's ice element was perfectly countered by Su Su's fire element. What was more coincidental was that both of their fighting styles and fighting philosophies were very similar. From the beginning to the end, Jiang Sinyu was working hard to get rid of the disadvantage of her attributes being suppressed. On the other hand, Su Su naturally would not let Jiang Sinyu have her way. She used all sorts of underhanded and overt schemes one after another. In the end, Jiang Sinyu was no match for Tianming, and her ice element was defeated by her flame element. Ice and fire elements were supposed to counter each other. In the early stages, the fire element would completely suppress the ice element. However, in the later stages this situation would change. If the ice element Takashi Hoshi comprehended Aurora, the situation would be reversed. Aurora was the ultimate profound meaning of the ice element Takashi Hoshi. It was also known as the freezing ray, sometimes called absolute zero. The ice element who comprehended Aurora was a nightmare on the battlefield. Even the fire element Takashi Hoshi, who comprehended the profound meaning of fusion, could not compare. However, Jiang Xinyu was still very far away from comprehending Aurora. This was a hardy battle. No one could find any fault with it, whether it was the degree of excitement, the use of tactics, or the breadth and depth of the battle. Almost all of the evaluation teachers kept nodding their heads. In the end, they wrote the word excellent in their evaluation. This evaluation was not the excellent in the final report at the end of the semester. Instead, it was evaluated among the 130 contestants in the provincial martial arts tournament. Even in the provincial martial arts competition of the province's elites, the two of them were outstanding. Jiang Xinyu calmly returned to her seat. "I'm sorry." Wang Lan apologized to Jiang Xinyu. "You don't have to apologize. If I defeated Su Su, who is injured, it would be a humiliation to me. Based on your understanding of me, would I be able to endure this? I'm very happy to be able to go all out against Su Su." But the 4 Cebu Gakuen. If the Big Four recruit students this year, the top 3 will definitely enter the Big Four. But that didn't mean that those at the bottom didn't have a chance. Moreover, even though I lost out of the top 8, the 9th place is mine. After hearing Jiang Xinyu's words, Wang Lan was relieved. He reached out his hand and pressed it on Jiang Xinyu's injured shoulder to heal Jiang Xinyu. After the competition for the top 8 was over, if time permitted, the rankings for the top 9 to 16 would be decided. This duel was also very intense. After all, there would be 2 people in the top 10. After Jiang Xinyu was defeated, the leaders of Sioux City Yizhong didn't show the slightest bit of regret on their faces. It wasn't that they didn't care about Jiang Xinyu, but that Sioux City's representative team was already content with reaching this point. Even if all of Sioux City's halberd sinks into sand were defeated in the 4th round, they would still feel that it was natural. Moreover, Wang Lan was the first to win the match, so he was definitely in the top 8. The top 8 of the provincial martial arts tournament. Sioux City hadn't been in the top 8 for a long time. In the past few tournaments, the best result was only 11th and 12th. The 4 great cities were simply too horrendous. They occupied at least 2 out of the top 10, and some even occupied 3. Almost all the 1st to 10th places were occupied by these 4 cities. Today, Wang Lan was able to get a spot in the top 8 out of Zhang Yu's mouth. The dean was very pleased. After Jiang Xinyu's match ended, it was time for the 4 cities to perform. The strong duels between the strong, and every match was as good as Wang Lan's. Soon, Sioux City's last contestant went on stage. Mu Xiaoyun versus the captain of Chang City's representative team. Everyone thought that this would be an evenly matched battle, but the process of the battle was unexpected. In front of Mu Xiaoyun, the captain of Chang City's representative team didn't even have the power to resist. He didn't even have the chance to show his true strength before he was defeated. Being able to have 2 people enter the top 8 made the relevant leaders of Sioux City ecstatic. Even the ambition that they didn't dare to think about before quietly grew. 2 people entered the top 8, so it wasn't too much to have 1 person enter the top 4, right? Since there was already 1 person in the top 4, it wasn't too much to have the champion and runner-up, right? It was reasonable. After the 4th round of the tournament, it was time for the matches of the top 9 to the top 16. Everyone who participated in the ranking competition had already experienced a battle today, and some of them even had injuries. Even after being treated by Takashi Hoshi, their injuries didn't completely heal that quickly. On the other hand, Jiang Xinyu, who had been healed by Wang Lan, had a huge advantage. It was as if he was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. He overcame all the difficulties and obtained a good 9th place. Being able to enter the top 10 meant that there was a high chance that one of the big 4 Cebu Gakuin would take a fancy to them. The day's competition ended, and Wang Lan and the others once again gathered in the suite on the top floor to analyze the strength of the top 8. Almost all of the top 8 contestants had been excavated after these 4 rounds of battle. Only one person was placed in a difficult position in front of everyone. At this point, everyone is a potential opponent. I don't know much about this Mu Xiaoyun, but you guys have known him for a long time. What do you guys think? Wang Lan asked while leaning on the sofa. It doesn't make sense. Although Mu Xiaoyun is awesome, he's not that awesome. Su Xiangwen was the first to speak. Mu Xiaoyun is the same as Xinyu. He awakened his Takashi Hoshi innate talent when he was 8 years old. His innate talent is a strange devouring innate talent. It seems to be able to devour people's strength. When he awakened his innate talent, he caused 7 of his classmates to be hospitalized. After the doctor's examination, the results showed that they were exhausted from overexertion, and the other classmates testified that Mu Xiaoyun only touched them. Because of this, Mu Xiaoyun took 2 months off from school before returning to class. Since then, he has never shown that ability again. But the scary thing is that even now, Mu Xiaoyun has never shown this ability. If it weren't for the fact that what happened back then was recorded, we would be certain that Mu Xiaoyun doesn't have a bloodline innate talent. This bloodline innate talent isn't in the database, and Mu Xiaoyun isn't a member of the Takashi Hoshi clan, so we don't know if he has awakened this bloodline innate talent. Even if we ignore this, Mu Xiaoyun's strength is still unfathomable. So far, he has shown the earth, wind, fire, and water Takashi Hoshi skills. In other words, he has at least 4 types of innate talent. His close combat ability can be said to be perfect, but I've sparred with him before, and his combat ability is on par with mine. Jiang Xinyu said quietly. During this period of sparring with all of you, my combat ability has at least doubled compared to before. I thought that I had far surpassed Mu Xiaoyun, but the combat ability he's shown now makes me feel that he's unfathomable. Either he's been hiding his strength all this time, or he's had a fortuitous encounter and improved much faster than me. Wang Lan, which one do you lean towards? I'm thinking, how can a person be so talented? In terms of talent, he's actually on par with me. The moment such shameless words came out, the atmosphere instantly became quiet. No matter what, Mu Xiaoyun will be a formidable opponent for Lan Zi. Now, the only thing I can pray for is that you don't kill each other during the selection. Wang Lan, actually, I'm thinking, if Mu Xiaoyun was so strong before, why did he hide his strength for the past 3 years in school? Jiang Xinyu looked at Wang Lan and asked leisurely. This might have something to do with his background. Wang Lan touched his chin and said uncertainly, his background isn't very positive. To be honest, if it wasn't for the investigation that revealed Mu Xiaoyun to be innocent, he wouldn't have appeared in the provincial martial arts tournament. Just as everyone was discussing, the selection for the top 8 matches began on the television. Among the remaining 8 people, 3 were from Jin City, 2 from Tong City, 1 from Chang City, and 2 from Su City. The first match to be drawn was the civil war in Jin City. Jin City's captain, Xiao Zi, versus Jin City's captain, Su Su. How tragic! Su Xiangwen could not help but sigh softly when the match list appeared. Although he knew that an internal battle was inevitable at this stage, Su Su had just won against Jiang Xinyu with great difficulty. She did not even have the time to celebrate before she was defeated by her captain. Jin City's captain, Xiao Zi, possessed 5 Takashi Hoshi attributes and had extraordinary star power. His star power was not only extraordinary by a large margin, but it was extraordinary by a large margin. It was so extraordinary that he could not even be considered human. When he had just awakened Takashi Hoshi's talent, the star power that erupted from him almost collapsed the classroom. After testing, his star power had reached the level of elite star blazing. When he broke through star blazing, his star power was far more abundant than Nebula's. If it was not for the fact that the qualitative change in Takashi Hoshi's level could not be offset by quantitative change, Xiao Zi's star power would not be far from the star sea realm. Xiao Zi once said that his star power was like a bottomless pit. Don't ask me how much star power I have, I've never experienced the feeling of running out of star power. I also want to know the limit of my star power, but even if I faint from exhaustion, my star power has not reached the bottom. Wang Lan didn't intend to challenge the limits of his star power for such a beast. He would leave it for Hu Feifei to challenge in the future. Soon, the draw for the next group began and Mu Xiaoyan's portrait popped up first. In the next second, Wang Lan was stunned when the image froze. Then, he stared at Su Xiangwen, who was dumbfounded. This isn't my fault, right? Are you blaming me? Wang Lan shouted angrily. You jinxed it. When the second group was drawn, Wang Lan was not the only one who wanted to complain. The internet was in an uproar. Is this the top 8 competition? Let's just call it an internal battle. In the first round, 2 from Gold City, 2 from Su City, and 2 from Tong City in the third round. Do they have to be so cruel? I strongly suggest that the 2 groups be separated. I want to see Su Ru beat up Su City's team. Yes. If they're separated, the top 3 will be taken by Gold City. Who gave you the courage to brag so shamelessly at the risk of biting your tongue? Su beat up Wolf King? Don't you know how cruel Brother Wolf is? Brother Wolf has never met a worthy opponent since his debut. He has never been defeated. That's right. Brother Wolf is now Nebula. Previously, Star Blazing beat up a group of Nebula. Now that Brother Wolf is in the Nebula stage, won't he beat up a group of Galaxy Realms? Hey, upstairs, wake up. I've blown it. Chapter 235. Feel free to voice your opinions. If I listen to a single word, it'll be my loss. The organizers probably had that in mind. No matter how many netizens flooded the comments section of the organizers' official website, they did not respond or explain anything. This was the difference between an official and a commercial organizer. The provincial martial arts competition is an activity for the cultivation of Takashi Hoshi. It's not a commercial competition for people to watch. I don't care about the viewership ratings. You guys can watch it if you want. After a night of chaos, those who were supposed to stop had stopped. The remaining 2 groups did not put on a show of killing each other. The next morning, Wang Lan and the others returned to their seats at the spectator stands. When they saw Mu Xiaoyan again, they could feel the change in each other's aura. Wang Lan's change was because he had a strong desire to show off after his big upgrade. On the other hand, Mu Xiaoyan might have felt threatened by Wang Lan. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the battle between Xiao Zi and Su began. Su's flame element Takashi Hoshi swept through the arena, giving everyone a taste of the desert's heat and the ruthlessness of the fire. Even though Su's Takashi Hoshi was powerful and invincible, she met a man who could completely restrain her. Xiao Zi's fighting style was like that of a refined gentleman, her every move was artistic. Other people's star power was extremely precious. They would split a unit of star power into 2 portions, but Xiao Zi's star power was used in large amounts. Have you seen water shockwave? Many students must have seen it before. This level B Takashi Hoshi water element technique was something that many students dreamed of. Water shockwave could attack the opponent and also add a layer of water wall to defend oneself. It was a combination of offense and defense. However, the water shockwave in Xiao Zi's hands felt like the Milky Way was pouring down, as if the ocean was pouring down in reverse. Wave after wave crashed against each other, and the person who was using the wave only saw the waves as a wolf. Xiao Zi stood on top of the waves and waved her hands gently. The seawater was like thousands of horses galloping. Su could only raise her hands and surrender in the face of such a strong opponent. Even if her flame element Takashi Hoshi technique had many other big moves, such as scorching steam, scorching light, and boiling water strangulation. What use was that? Do you have to force Xiao Zi to use her thunder tsunami to push you into the water? When Xiao Zi stopped her Takashi Hoshi, the earth Takashi Hoshi immediately diverted the water into the lake. It would take at least half an hour to restore the sight. Fighting against Xiao Zi is such a headache. You'd better think about how to fight against Mu Xiaoyun, Jiang Xinyu whispered worriedly. You're about to go on stage. Are you confident? I don't have confidence in any of my matches. But didn't I make it to the quarterfinals? Although Mu Xiaoyun has yet to meet an opponent who can force him to use his full strength, I want to give it a try. They didn't feel like they had rested for long before the second round started. Wang Lan and Mu Xiaoyun leisurely stood up and walked towards the arena. To the audience in Sioux City, this match was both heartache and anticipation. If one were to use an analogy to describe the mood of the audience in Sioux City, they would be eating 3 bowls with tears in their eyes. One of them was their beloved Wolf King, the Wolf King who had never let them down. The other was Mu Xiaoyun, who was as steady as an old dog and gave off an unfathomable vibe. Either one of them was a popular candidate to win the championship. If the participants in the provincial martial competition were to be ranked, Wang Lan, Mu Xiaoyun, and Xiao Zi would be the top 3. Furthermore, there were only 3 of them. The battle between the 2 of them would definitely be a feast for the eyes. However, this battle had come too early. You really surprised me. Mu Xiaoyun was the first to speak as he stood on the arena. We're not in the same class, so I don't know much about you. I only know that Duan Ziki suffered a great loss because of you. You awakened your Takashi Hoshi talent at the end of your second year in high school, and you only used 1 year to reach this level. I'm impressed. You surprised me too. Almost all the participants have revealed their trump cards at this stage of the provincial martial competition. You're the only one who hasn't revealed the tip of the iceberg. Since you're so strong, why did you hide it in school? I didn't hide it. My performance in school is just to deal with the school. As long as I can maintain my first place, it's a waste to have 1 more point. Let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. As soon as he finished speaking, Mu Xiaoyun suddenly disappeared. His speed was so fast that even Wang Lan, who was staring at him without blinking, did not notice how Mu Xiaoyun disappeared. If he could enter the ground at such a speed, then his walking speed would definitely not be slow. Wang Lan's mind flashed as he slammed his palm on the ground. Electric grid, crackle, a spider web formed by lightning instantly spread out with Wang Lan as the center. Countless soil tumbled and jumped in the arc of lightning. Boom! 3 meters behind Wang Lan, a figure rushed out of the soil. In less than 3 breaths, Mu Xiaoyun was already so close to Wang Lan. Whoosh! Wang Lan suddenly swung his hand, and a flame rose from Wang Lan's fingertip. The flame instantly left Wang Lan's palm and turned into a crescent-shaped flaming blade that slashed at the charging figure. Hiss! Just like the sound of scissors tearing through cloth, the figure was cut in half in the air. Blood sprayed out like a rainstorm. This scene made countless people stand up in shock. Did the invincible Mu Xiaoyun lose in just 1 round? And not only did he not lose, but he was dead? Wang Lan was also shocked, but in the next moment, a gust of wind came from behind Wang Lan. Without hesitation, he hurriedly pulled out Ghost Weep and slashed back. Clang! The moment the first clash rang out, the light of the blade filled the eyes of the 2. Wang Lan's short sword and Mu Xiaoyun's saber instantly blossomed with dazzling light. What's going on? Isn't that Mu Xiaoyun? Obviously not, but isn't it too similar? A fat guy who was holding a pair of binoculars put down his binoculars and sighed. It's actually a clone made of mud. But he's a little too good at making it look exactly like a real person. And that blood made of mud, does it have to be so realistic? If it's not realistic, how can it fool people? In front of the fat guy, a sexy girl in red coldly said, "Although you're all third-year high school students, Your awareness is much worse than Mu Xiaoyun's. On a real battlefield, if it's not real, you'll die. This beautiful teacher was unknown to which Sibu Gakuin's teacher. When she spoke, the few students behind her also shut up. Although the students who could participate in the provincial martial arts competition were all geniuses, and each of them was extremely arrogant, it also depended on who they were facing. At this moment, the commotion in the stands gradually grew. Wang Lan and Mu Xiaoyun were fighting in close combat, one wielding a saber and the other wielding a sword, slashing at each other. However, this was clearly a basic fight, yet the light and shadow effects were like Takashi Hoshi's. What was going on? From afar, the center of the fight was a glowing sphere that enveloped the two of them. Those with a higher realm could tell that it was the reflection of the sun's rays from the two people's sabers, but those with a lower realm could only feel that it was amazing. The audience wasn't the only ones who didn't understand, but also felt that it was amazing. Wang Lan, who was in the middle of the fight, also felt the same. He knew himself best. Wang Lan had already upgraded his basic swordsmanship to the gold level. What did a gold-level swordsmanship mean? It had already reached the realm of no move. His swordsmanship and sword stance were no longer restricted by rules. Every move was in accordance with nature. Not to mention the nebula realm, Wang Lan dared to say that even in the galaxy realm, there were not many people who had this level of basic combat strength. However, Mu Xiaoyun's moves were as smooth as flowing water, and he wasn't affected by Wang Lan's sharp attacks at all. Did Mu Xiaoyun also cheat? Did he also have a cheat? Otherwise, how could his basic combat strength be so strong? Wang Lan slashed apart Mu Xiaoyun's saber rays with his sword. He stretched out his left hand, and a golden flame turned into a laser beam that shot out of his fingertip. The sudden move didn't make Mu Xiaoyun panic. Instead, Mu Xiaoyun spat out a water column from his mouth. Wang Lan instantly held Ghost Weep in a backhand grip and held it in front of him. The water column hit Ghost Weep, but Mu Xiaoyun was pushed back by the force of the water column. The two of them broke away from the stalemate and stood opposite each other. Electric arcs flashed around Wang Lan's body. In an instant, electric arcs covered his entire body, and the lightning sword resounded with the cries of a flock of birds. Mu Xiaoyun's expression changed, and he instantly retreated. Wang Lan looked up coldly. The ground beneath his feet instantly cracked with a boom. The moment the ground cracked, Wang Lan's figure disappeared. Rumble, mud walls suddenly rose from the ground. They were like dominoes that had been placed by an invisible hand. In Wang Lan's field of vision, the surrounding time seemed to have slowed down countless times. Wang Lan's speed exceeded the limit under the electric arcs, but even at such a fast speed, the mud walls in front of him were rising at the same speed as Wang Lan. However, lightning countered Earth, and the mud wall's defense couldn't withstand lightning's attack. He stabbed the mud wall in front of him. The mud wall was instantly eroded by the electric arcs and disintegrated into powder. In the eyes of the people outside, the mud walls that rose up shattered without any warning, as if they were destroyed by an invisible armor-piercing bullet. The last mud wall was destroyed, and Wang Lan only had Mu Xiaoyun in his eyes. At this moment, ripples appeared around Mu Xiaoyun's body. The ripples quickly spread from his body to his feet. Wang Lan's expression changed as soon as he stepped into the ripples. A strong gravitational force came, and Wang Lan instantly felt as if he was bearing a heavy burden of 10,000 kilograms. At this moment, Wang Lan thought of Mu Xiaoyun's plan. Wang Lan's speed was increased several times under the effect of the lightning attribute. If Mu Xiaoyun wanted to have a chance of winning, the only way was to reduce Wang Lan's speed, and to reduce Wang Lan's speed, he could only increase the gravitational force. But do you think you can withstand it with just this? Electric arcs shot out from Wang Lan's body, and his body that had just become sluggish, suddenly accelerated and rushed in front of Mu Xiaoyun, stabbing his sword at Mu Xiaoyun's chest. Boom! A mud wall rose from the ground in an instant, blocking in front of Wang Lan at the critical moment. The sword stabbed the mud wall, and it shattered with a loud bang. At this moment, Wang Lan's eyes were filled with surprise. Compound Takashi Hoshi technique. You really have mastered the use of the compound Takashi Hoshi technique. Chapter 236. The difficulty of the composite Takashi Hoshi technique is the multitasking of astral power and the comprehension of the principles behind the Takashi Hoshi technique. The so-called inability of non-galaxy cultivators to master it is just an excuse for mediocre cultivators to gloss over themselves. Some people are born to be able to skip this process, right? Since he had already used the composite Takashi Hoshi technique, Mu Xiaoyun stopped pretending. Instantly, he crouched down and pressed his palms against the ground. The ground beneath his feet suddenly became turbulent. The ground beneath Wang Lan's feet instantly turned into a swamp. The surrounding swamp suddenly came to life, extending countless tentacles to stab at Wang Lan. Electric arcs flashed around Wang Lan's body, and the suction force beneath his feet also dissipated under the ravaging electric arcs. The lightning sword in Wang Lan's hand moved unhindered, and the surrounding swamp tentacles were all cut down by Wang Lan's lightning sword. However, the tentacles seemed to be endless. If this continued, Wang Lan would be dragged to death by the battle sooner or later. Suddenly, Wang Lan's figure flickered, and countless afterimages appeared around Wang Lan. Seeing this scene, all the audience couldn't help but open their mouths wide in shock. F***CK. Wang Lan's clones weren't that powerful, nor were they that difficult to accept. They were just too creepy that they didn't have the energy to complain. Layers upon layers of afterimages, each of which seemed to be capable of attacking. The afterimages disappeared in a flash, and a large area of swamp tentacles around Wang Lan was cleared. In an instant, Wang Lan jumped up and pointed at Mu Xiaoyun in the distance. Messenger bird. Lightning arrows instantly shot out from Wang Lan's fingertip. The arrows turned into lightning snakes in the void, and suddenly, the lightning snakes exploded. The 10 lightning snakes turned into 100 lightning birds flapping their wings. Like a net, they bombarded Mu Xiaoyun from all directions. Mu Xiaoyun was about to control the swamp to attack again, but he had no choice but to stop and raise a wall of swamp in front of him in the face of Wang Lan's attack. Boom, 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 the electric arc exploded, and the mud of the swamp was bombarded by the messenger bird. Mu Xiaoyun's eyes turned cold. Wang Lan's strength had far exceeded his expectations. He had merely broken through from the peak of star blazing to the early nebula stage. Why did Mu Xiaoyun feel as if he had broken through from the peak of nebula stage to the galaxy stage? His skills were powerful, and his star power was like a bottomless pit. The wave of attacks finally dissipated. Mu Xiaoyun tore open a hole in the black crystal barrier in front of him. With just a glance, Mu Xiaoyun's eyes suddenly widened. The arrow in Wang Lan's hand was a combination of fire and lightning attributes. It turned into a diving phoenix and attacked him. By the time Mu Xiaoyun saw it, the phoenix was already right in front of him. It had even engulfed his vision. Boom! The indestructible black crystal barrier instantly shattered. Flames engulfed Mu Xiaoyun's world. The power of this arrow was already at the level of a galaxy grade. If he still couldn't win, was Mu Xiaoyun still human? Wang Lan finally understood that he couldn't be tangled up with Mu Xiaoyun. Mu Xiaoyun's combat intelligence was too high. If you tangled up with him, it would be easy for him to seize the opportunity and lead you into a trap. Wang Lan's advantage was his firepower. He could use his absolute firepower to decide the outcome of this battle. Buzz! The expected explosion didn't happen. Instead, a slight distortion appeared in the sea of flames. Then, a hole appeared in the flames, as if a black hole had torn space apart. The hole grew bigger and bigger, swallowing all the flames. A figure slowly walked out of the hole. Mu Xiaoyun walked out unscathed after taking such a terrifying blow from Wang Lan. Suddenly, Mu Xiaoyun's body turned into a glazed amber color, like a human-shaped container filled with multicolored light. Gorgeous flames suddenly ignited around the human figure. Electric arcs danced along with the flames. Wang Lan immediately retreated to a safe distance. In an instant, a thunder-fire arrow turned into a phoenix and shot out from Mu Xiaoyun's body, appearing in front of Wang Lan. How is this possible? Wang Lan's face changed drastically. His figure flashed, narrowly avoiding the attack. Boom! Intense ripples appeared on the defensive barrier of the arena. Under the flickering ripples, the barrier was on the verge of collapse. This scene stunned everyone. After shooting the thunder-fire phoenix, Mu Xiaoyun returned to his original state and stood silently in his original position. Student Mu Xiaoyun, please give us an explanation. How did you do that? The loudspeaker in the arena suddenly sounded. Mu Xiaoyun's performance was incomprehensible. In order to eliminate the possibility of cheating, the organizer of the provincial martial tournament had the right to ask the contestants to explain their abilities. Leaders and teachers, the ability I used just now was my bloodline talent, Black Emperor form. Teachers, you can look at the incident when I first awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent. I once accidentally caused 7 students to faint from exhaustion. My Black Emperor form can devour all Takashi Hoshi skills and astral energy before releasing them to attack the opponent. I can also absorb the vitality of others to replenish my own and relieve fatigue. Because I have never been able to master this ability, I have never used it. It's normal that you don't know about my ability. Are you saying that this is your bloodline talent? You didn't use any tools? It's my bloodline talent. Okay, no more questions. The competition continues. After the leader finished speaking, Mu Xiaoyun looked at Wang Lan with a mocking expression. Is there a need to continue? Your attacks are useless against me. Wang Lan frowned. He recalled the Thunder Fire Phoenix attack that Mu Xiaoyun had sent back. It didn't seem to be instantaneous. Then, he raised his hand and a crescent moon arrow shot out from Wang Lan's fingertip. Mu Xiaoyun faced the incoming arrow with a smile on his face. When the arrow reached Mu Xiaoyun's face, it disappeared as if it had entered a different dimension. However, just as the arrow was about to disappear, electric arcs flashed around Wang Lan's body and 6 lightning snakes shot out. The lightning snakes slithered in the air and reached Mu Xiaoyun's face when he was about to devour the crescent moon arrow. Boom! Suddenly, the crescent moon arrow shot out from Mu Xiaoyun's fingertip. The moment the lightning snakes gathered, the arrow was shot out. There was an explosion in the air and electric arcs and flames shot up into the sky. This scene shattered Wang Lan's fantasy. Xiao Zi, who was sitting in the spectators' stand, sighed dejectedly. Looks like I'm not fated to be the champion. Xiao Zi, don't be discouraged. You have 20 times more astral energy than them. What's the use of astral energy in front of Mu Xiaoyun? No matter how many bullets you have, it will all be in the opponent's gun. How can there be such an insane bloodline talent in this world? According to what you're saying, Wang Lan is definitely going to lose? He's definitely going to lose. All Takashi Hoshi's skills are countered. He has to use his bloodline talent or pure physical skills. Pure physical skills won't work either. Mu Xiaoyun's pure physical skills are not weaker than Wang Lan's, and his bloodline talent can absorb vitality. Wang Lan can only be dragged to his death. Mu Xiaoyun's Black Emperor form was faster than Wang Lan had imagined. Any attack could be absorbed and activated instantly. After thinking for a moment, Wang Lan's body shot out. Under the effect of the lightning attribute, he seemed to have turned into lightning. Mu Xiaoyun's lips curled up into a smug smile. He opened his arms and invisible ripples spread out in all directions. The moment Wang Lan stepped into the gravitational field, his body suddenly slowed down. After being slowed down, Wang Lan suddenly raised his arm and shot out a crescent moon arrow from Wang Lan's fingertip. It's useless. As long as it's a Takashi Hoshi skill, it's useless against me, Mu Xiaoyun announced indifferently. The crescent moon arrow disappeared when it reached Mu Xiaoyun's face. Suddenly, lightning flashed around Wang Lan's body, and flames danced violently within the lightning. An arrow with 2 attributes shot out from Wang Lan's fingertip and turned into a purple arrow that shot towards Mu Xiaoyun. Mu Xiaoyun had already absorbed a crescent moon arrow and would release it in the next second. However, could a normal crescent moon arrow block Wang Lan's strongest arrow attack? That was obviously impossible. A normal crescent moon arrow would melt under Wang Lan's arrow, and the remaining power would still hit Mu Xiaoyun. This was Wang Lan's newest tactic. When this tactic was used, the eyes of all the teachers who were still thinking about how to counter Mu Xiaoyun's bug-like ability lit up. Wang Lan's tactical wisdom was actually more advanced than all the teachers present. Mu Xiaoyun's bloodline ability has been broken. However, in the next moment all the teachers were stunned. Mu Xiaoyun actually didn't release the crescent moon arrow. Instead, he absorbed Wang Lan's second attack. Mu Xiaoyun's bloodline ability didn't just absorb one arrow and release another. He could absorb it continuously? At this moment, Wang Lan instantly felt danger approaching. Just as he dodged, Mu Xiaoyun's body turned into glass again. 2 attacks shot towards Wang Lan one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. A series of afterimages appeared around Wang Lan, and in the explosion, the afterimages were swallowed up. Taking advantage of the moment when Mu Xiaoyun used his bloodline ability, Wang Lan was already 3 meters away from Mu Xiaoyun. When Wang Lan got close to him, Mu Xiaoyun's face revealed a devilish smile. You want to fight in close combat? You still have no advantage in front of me. As he spoke, he pulled out his sword and planned to fight Wang Lan again. However, Wang Lan suddenly stopped and put his fist at his waist. Blue flames ignited around his body. Kanglin, with a punch, a blue light shot out from Wang Lan's fist. After leaving his fist, it turned into a blue ferocious wolf head. Mu Xiaoyun didn't expect Wang Lan to use Takashi Hoshi to provoke him at this time. His evaluation of Wang Lan in his heart took a turn for the worse. I thought you wouldn't be stupid. I didn't expect you to mess up at this time. It seems that I overestimated you. You know that Takashi Hoshi is useless against me, but you still use Takashi Hoshi. Mu Xiaoyun sneered and took Wang Lan's attack head-on. With a bang, the wolf head slammed into Mu Xiaoyun's chest. At this moment, Mu Xiaoyun's face changed. The Takashi Hoshi that should have been devoured by the Black Emperor wasn't devoured. The powerful force crashed into his lungs and raged through Mu Xiaoyun's body like an electric current. Wah! Mu Xiaoyun spat out a mouthful of blood and flew high. How could Wang Lan miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? He instantly rushed in front of Mu Xiaoyun and punched him repeatedly. Mu Xiaoyun's body instantly exploded with a blast of air. He spun and flew out of the arena. Chapter 237. Wow! On the grandstand, almost everyone stood up. The sudden turn of events was too unexpected. Mu Xiaoyun's invincible form had left everyone with the impression that he was invincible. But in just a second, he was defeated so suddenly? Wasn't Takashi Hoshi ineffective against Mu Xiaoyun? Why did it suddenly become effective? Did Mu Xiaoyun run out of star power? It didn't look like it. Mu Xiaoyun, who had been thrown out of the arena, quickly got up. When he saw the yellow boundary half a meter in front of him, his face instantly darkened. His ferocious eyes stared at Wang Lan angrily. You didn't use Takashi Hoshi in the end. What was that? Wang Lan panted slightly, beads of sweat rolling down his cheeks. He had staked everything on a single throw, and he had won in the end. Wang Lan's last move was indeed not Takashi Hoshi, but 1-inch punch, which had been upgraded to the gold level. When 1-inch punch reached the gold level, it could bombard the air and create a strong shockwave. Under the threefold punch, the power of the punch was concentrated into a cylindrical air bullet. The blue wolf head shape was just a shell that Wang Lan simulated with the flame blade. It had a shape but no core. The Black Emperor form could devour star power and all Takashi Hoshi skills, but it couldn't devour air. If Mu Xiaoyun had known the real situation of this move in advance, it would have been easy for him to dodge it. If it was a battle of life and death, this move of Wang Lan's would be meaningless. However, this was a provincial martial arts competition, and the competition had rules. Using the rules, Wang Lan successfully pushed Mu Xiaoyun out of the arena. Cheating! Fake! Suddenly, there was a wave of voices in the stands, and countless voices of doubt came one after another. This scene was too strange and incomprehensible, so for many people, the last scene was like a farce. Mu Xiaoyun shouldn't have lost, and Wang Lan shouldn't have won. In addition, both of them were representatives of Sioux City, so there was room for a fake fight. Wang Lan's last move, Takashi Hoshi, was not that strong, so why couldn't Mu Xiaoyun devour it? This didn't make sense. The masses of onlookers needed an explanation. What's more, who in the crowd was an onlooker? Wave after wave of voices swept over, and the referee's action of announcing the result paused. The organizers whispered to each other, discussing what to do. Hello, student Wang Lan. I'm a teacher from the admissions office of Huadong Sibu Gakuen. Can you explain to me how you managed to turn the tables? I couldn't see anything special about your Takashi Hoshi technique. A middle-aged teacher suddenly stood up from the stands, his voice spreading throughout the arena like a breeze. There's nothing to explain. Suddenly, a voice came from the corner of the venue. In an instant, everyone turned their heads. It was a skinny old man with silver-white hair and sunglasses. The old man was slightly bent over, and his sunglasses made it impossible to see his expression. However, all of the teachers who saw the old man stood up with excited expressions. Di Lao! Di Lao! So Di Lao has already arrived. Didn't you say that Di Lao would only come on the day of the finals? If you can't see the mystery, it only proves that your level isn't high enough. Go back and properly study the relevant knowledge. I think that you haven't participated in actual combat for a long time. This student Wang Lan didn't use any Takashi Hoshi technique, but rather a Palea martial arts technique. If I'm not wrong, it should be inch punch, right? Inch punch. Although the charging distance is short, the starting position already bends the body from the legs, waist, and arms into a strong bow. When the muscles are taut, it's like a strong bow pulled to a full moon. Even if it's an ordinary person, after years of training, they can punch through walls and break a tree trunk. Almost all of you put your focus on the Takashi Hoshi technique and neglect Palea martial art. You think that it's a low-grade technique that ordinary people cultivate and can't be compared to Takashi Hoshi. That's right, Palea martial arts aren't easy to cultivate. It takes a long time to accumulate results, and its power isn't as strong as Takashi Hoshi. However, Palea martial arts have an advantage that all Takashi Hoshi techniques can't reach. Palea martial arts don't require star power to activate, or even if it does, it's just a boost and doesn't consume star power. Ordinary people who cultivate Palea martial arts will never be able to reach the heights of Takashi Hoshi, but it doesn't mean that Palea martial arts are inferior to Takashi Hoshi. It's because of the physical limitations of ordinary people. Takashi Hoshi's physical fitness far surpasses that of ordinary people, and there's no upper limit to their physical fitness. Takashi Hoshi's Palea martial arts technique can still display power that isn't inferior to Takashi Hoshi. Wang Lan's punch just now is proof of this. He used inch punch to display the power of air-splitting fist, squeezing the air and forming an air bullet that hit Mu Xiaoyun. Although Mu Xiaoyun has the ability to engulf all Takashi Hoshi techniques, he can't engulf the impact of the air bullet. Being knocked out of the arena isn't some shady deal. After Di Lao's explanation, all the students understood. They all sat down, revealing expressions of understanding. As for the many low-level Takashi Hoshi who heard this explanation through the live broadcast, the flames in their hearts instantly rose. They were low-level Takashi Hoshi, and they were even low-level Takashi Hoshi who had already accepted their fate. They had no resources, no wealth, and no family background. To them, everything that Takashi Hoshi needed to be fought for with all their might. Soul orbs, Takashi Hoshi techniques, they were all so precious. Di Lao's words were like a lighthouse in the ocean, lighting up their world. Takashi Hoshi techniques were very expensive and rare, so they couldn't afford them. But Palea martial arts techniques weren't expensive. Because Palea martial arts were weak, many Palea martial arts sects even recruited disciples for free to impart martial arts technique. If Palea martial arts techniques fell into the hands of ordinary people, it would be a waste of heavenly resources. Damn, only in the hands of us Takashi Hoshi can we make the best use of these techniques. At this moment, countless Takashi Hoshi practitioners who were suffering because they didn't have Takashi Hoshi techniques had their eyes red, completely forgetting the key point of Di Lao's explanation. Palea martial arts techniques weren't martial arts techniques that could be mastered overnight. They were martial arts techniques that needed to be accumulated over a long period of time. If you wanted to use Palea martial arts techniques to replace Takashi Hoshi techniques, you either had to be like Wang Lan with a cheat, or you were born to cultivate this technique. You had to have an amazing bone structure, a one-in-a-million martial arts geniuses. After hearing the explanation, many people sat down, but the teacher from Huadong Sibu Gakuen still didn't want to give up. Di Lao, although your explanation is very reasonable, the technique that Wang Lan used just now had very obvious characteristics of Takashi Hoshi technique. It even had star power fluctuations. Hearing that this teacher still hadn't understood, Di Lao sighed and shook his head. Teacher, could it be that you can't even see through the star power simulation? Wang Lan used the flame blade to simulate the appearance of the blue flame wolf head, and the star power fluctuations he displayed were also because of this. Wang Lan used the transformation to simulate Takashi Hoshi techniques to paralyze his opponent, but the true core was that air-splitting fist. After being explained like this, the teacher's expression suddenly changed. Although he already understood the reason, it seemed that in Di Lao's impression, he was equated with stupidity. Student Mu Xiaoyun versus Student Wang Lan. Student Wang Lan wins. After Di Lao's perfect explanation, the referee no longer felt any pressure and directly announced the outcome of the match. As the referee's voice fell, a system notification sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for entering the top 4 of the provincial martial competition and advancing to the semi-finals. The reward is 10,000 experience points and 1,000 skill points. Advancing to the top 4 actually gave him 1,000 skill points. When he became the champion of the Takashi Hoshi tournament, he didn't even get 1,000 skill points. The restriction of the competition venue is an illogical setting. Mu Xiaoyun saw that the dust had already settled and there was no way to reverse the situation, so he coldly snorted in dissatisfaction. Wang Lan lightly laughed. If that's the case, then the restriction of not being able to kill people is also illogical. Wang Lan didn't argue with Mu Xiaoyun endlessly. If Wang Lan was in Mu Xiaoyun's shoes, he would definitely be unhappy. Mu Xiaoyun's strength was clearly overwhelming, almost to the point that Wang Lan couldn't move. Moreover, Wang Lan's astral power was almost exhausted at that time, so he shouldn't have been able to turn the situation around. However, in a moment of carelessness, he was tricked by Wang Lan and fell out of the arena. It would be strange if he was convinced. He clearly had the victory in his grasp, but his boat had capsized. He was so depressed that he might even commit suicide. After Wang Lan's victory, there was a long sigh of relief in the arena. It was Xiao Zi. It seems that we can still fight for the championship, Xiao Zi said to an Yushu who was beside her. Indeed, if you were to fight against Mu Xiaoyun, you wouldn't have any chance of winning. His bloodline talent is unfathomable to your current level. However, you can't let your guard down. This Wang Lan definitely can't be judged by common sense. Indeed, if Wang Lan hadn't used an ancient martial technique at the end, who would have known that he had such a hidden move? He's like 100 treasures pouch. You never know what he will take out from it. Even Mu Xiaoyun's sure-win situation was ruined. Looks like I should be more careful. Don't change your strategy. Use your absolute strength to crush your opponent. Don't give Wang Lan any chance to take advantage of you. Remember, don't fight too long. Your advantage is your astral power. Okay. The next two matches were of high quality. Both matches were more exciting than the previous round of 16. However, perhaps it was because they had seen the match between Wang Lan and Mu Xiaoyun. The following two matches were mediocre. The matches in the afternoon were intense, and the internet was boiling with excitement. You're still your dad, and the Wolf King is still the Wolf King. He still managed to turn the tables in such a situation. Is there any opponent he can't defeat? Indeed. It might seem like luck, but looking back at the Wolf King's battle history, which one of his matches wasn't a victory? The first time was luck, the second time was luck, but could it be luck every time? There are already 5 seeded contestants under the Wolf King's feet. Any one of them has the potential to become the champion. Who said the Wolf King relied on luck? He relied on his strength. I don't know if everyone has noticed, but the Wolf King seems to have a trump card in every match. In the first match, the Wolf King's information to the public was of the fire attribute. So, an idiot said that his astral power was crushed and his attributes were restrained. How could he lose? In the end, the Wolf King took out the thunder attribute Takashi Hoshi and killed him instantly. In the second match, the enemy's Star Palace artifact killed everyone in its way. However, the Wolf King also took out the Star Palace artifact and killed everyone in its way. In the third match, Pain Immunity met a healer who could heal him. He traded blow for blow and exhausted a berserker to the point of exhaustion. My Wolf King is mighty and domineering. Chapter 238. Sioux City Cebu Gakuen was very excited that Sioux City could reach this stage. While celebrating, Wang Lan, the only one who had made it into the semi-finals, became even more precious. The drunk dean patted Wang Lan's shoulder affectionately. In such a high-spirited celebration, Mu Xiaoyun, who won 5th place for the school, was missing. In theory, after the competition ended, the contestants who didn't compete in the future could leave the hotel and go home. But only Mu Xiaoyun left early. This night it was silent. But on this night the sports hall was quietly changing. The experts of the Heavenly Sword Bureau quietly entered the stadium to set up a defense. Da-da-da, someone knocked on the door. Wang Lan and the other two who were eating supper stopped what they were doing. Su Xiangwen walked to the door in confusion. Who is it? Checking the room. A clear and cold female voice sounded from outside the door. There was a trace of Jiang Sinyu's voice, but it was definitely not Jiang Sinyu's voice. Su Xiangwen suddenly became excited. Through the peephole, he saw 2 beautiful twin sisters in security uniforms. The fire in Su Xiangwen's chest instantly extinguished. He opened the door and saluted. Hello, Captain Zhang. It was Zhang Yeqiu and Zhang Xiaoxiu. Entering the room, Zhang Yeqiu glanced at the 3 people in the room. Only the 3 of you? Yes. What's going on? The Heavenly Sword Bureau is also responsible for checking the room? We cleared out all the security guards and staff. Of course, their work fell into our hand. Also, from today on, be more polite to the cleaning aunties who come to clean. They are all your colleagues. Got it. By the way, how's the last case going? Did you find anything? No. We can be sure that it was Wang Mingling who did it. Other than him, no one can kill Xianlin in such a short time. And he must have been hidden by some force. Finding Wang Mingling in such a large area of Sioux City is like finding a needle in a haystack. So the Bureau wants to lure the snake out of its hole? I was wondering what was going on. Why did Di Lao come out today? Lieutenant Wang Lan, please mind your words. What do you mean by release? It's called please. That's not right. It should be a tribute, Su Xianwen said. Okay, you're right. Sell Di-Lao out? Right now, the entire venue is filled with people from the Heavenly Sword Bureau, except for the teachers and contestants, as well as the leaders of Su City. Based on the current speculation, Wang Mingling should have snuck into the venue and possessed someone. I just don't know if he has been invited out by us. If he could be invited out so easily, then the United Nations wouldn't have had so many headaches for so many years. In any case, our Heavenly Sword Bureau has already made ample preparations to protect Di-Lao. As long as we keep an eye on Di-Lao, Wang Mingling will appear no matter where he hides. All right, be careful. After sending off Zhang Yeqiu and her sister, they walked to the room next door where Jiang Xinyu and Xie Sisi were staying. After closing the door, Gong Feiyu asked hesitantly, "What are you guys talking about?" "Someone wants to sabotage the provincial martial arts competition. The Heavenly Sword Bureau will protect him. It's that simple." Oh! Soon it was 8 o'clock sharp. It was time for the exciting lucky draw. No, it was the semifinals lucky draw. Tomorrow was the last day of the provincial martial arts competition. The semifinals would be held in the morning, and the finals would be held in the afternoon. At the same time, there would be a battle for the third and fourth place. It seemed like there were only 4 people fighting tomorrow, but the schedule was packed. Soon, the highly anticipated semi-finals were released. Wang Lan was the first to fight again. In an instant, Wang Lan's heart was in her throat. The next second, the profile picture on the left appeared. It was a handsome, sunny smile that was comparable to Wang Lan's. Damn, it's Xiao Zi. What's going on? They finished the finals in the semi-finals? There's only 4 people left. Can't the organizers be more observant? It's obvious that they're the first and second place. Why do they have to fight in the semi-finals? Countless viewers in front of their televisions had the same complaints as Su Xianwen. Even if they were not star martial artists, they could still see that after fighting to this extent, the publicly recognized list of the strongest was already out. Wang Lan, Xiao Zi, and Mu Xiaoyun might not be ranked in the top 3, but they were definitely in the top 3. But what happened in the end? Mu Xiaoyun, who had lost to Wang Lan, was only in 5th place. Now Wang Lan was going to fight Xiao Zi, who was only in 3rd place. The first place had a guy who was obviously weaker than them. Wasn't it disgusting? However, no one could answer this question. The provincial martial arts competition was like this every year. Luck was also a part of one's strength. Every year, there would be those who were lucky enough to get a high ranking. If there were complaints about such a battle, then what was the point of those who advanced without a bye? Although there would be 1 or 2 lucky people who made it to the provincial martial arts competition, there wouldn't be anyone who was strong or had a good performance. Why did the Cebu Gakuen send observers to observe the competition? It was to prevent strong and outstanding students from being unlucky enough to meet someone stronger. Take Jiang Xinyu for example. After she got a high ranking, many Cebu Gakuen called her. However, most of them were thinking that if Jiang Xinyu's brain was caught by a door and she agreed, wouldn't they be picking up a great bargain? However, there were also top Cebu Gakuen like Jinshi Cebu Gakuen, Huadong Cebu Gakuen, and Shunlong Military Cebu Gakuen that extended an olive branch to Jiang Xinyu. However, Jiang Xinyu hadn't given a clear answer yet. She was waiting for the Big 4 Cebu Gakuen to recruit students. The Big 4 Cebu Gakuen would give out guaranteed admission notices to students who met their school's requirements 7 days after the provincial martial arts competition. Jiang Xinyu was ranked in the top 10 of the provincial martial arts competition, so her chances of being accepted by the Big 4 were very high. Anyway, Jiang Xinyu had already calculated that she would go to whichever of the Big 4 was willing to accept her. If she wasn't accepted by the Big 4, she would go to Jinshi Cebu Gakuen. Jinsher Sibu Gakuen was the closest to the Big Four in terms of the size of the school and the cultivation of students. Jinsher Province was the second most developed province in the Jade State. It was also the most generous province in the country when it came to education. Jinsher Sibu Gakuen almost gave her everything she wanted. In recent years, they had even shouted that they would turn the Big Four into the Big Five. It was a little too far off the mark. However, this list announced that Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi, who were originally in the top four, had a chance of getting second place. There was no need to draw the remaining two lists, and they were directly arranged. However, perhaps they felt that Wang Lan and Xiao Zi should be placed at the end of the list, so the order of appearance was changed. Wang Lan and Xiao Zi's battle would be placed at the end of the list. Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi naturally didn't have any objections to this. After the list was drawn, the TV channel changed to the primetime TV series that was being broadcasted at 8 o'clock. It was as if they could argue as much as they wanted. If they could sway them even a little, they would lose. The night passed quietly. For some people, it was torture, but for others, it was just a blink of an eye. The next morning, they went to the competition venue after breakfast. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the first round of the provincial martial arts competition was about to begin. If Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi were placed in any of the previous tournaments, they would be popular candidates for the championship. They even had an 80% chance of winning. However, they were unlucky to have encountered such a competition. As they entered the arena, the applause was sparse. Both of them entered the arena expressionlessly and stared at each other solemnly. Looking at the two of them, Wang Lan's eyes flickered slightly. That's strange. It's only been a day. Why do I feel like their auras have changed? Changed? What changed? Jiang Xinyu raised her head and asked in confusion. I can't describe it. I just feel like this is supposed to be a cheerful match. Why do I feel like they're going to die? Perhaps Wang Lan knew that there was something wrong with his expression, so he made an analogy. It's like saying that you've memorized the answers for an exam, but it's as heavy as if you've failed the exam. Lan Zi, why don't you just say that it's a joyous occasion, but it's like a funeral? With their abilities, it's impossible for them to be the runner-up. However, at least one of them would be qualified. No matter what, they wouldn't have such an aura. I'm sorry, I can't tell. Beep. The referee blew the whistle, and both of them instantly moved. From Wang Lan's point of view, both of their fighting styles were average. Their abilities were not inferior to Jiang Xinyu's, but if they really fought, Wang Lan felt that Jiang Xinyu had a higher chance of winning. Within 3 seconds of the start of the match, both of them had already used Takashi Hoshi twice. Both of them were evenly matched, so neither of them had the upper hand in this match. This scene caused all the observing teachers to frown. After watching Wang Lan and the others' high-quality matches, watching these two's match was simply unbearable. However, both of their performances were average. There was nothing wrong with them. They were even better than most of the first-year students in their own school. However, for some reason, it was unbearable. Many of the teachers could not help but wonder, if it were Wang Lan and Xiao Zi, would they fight at the beginning? What kind of tactics would they use to plan and then act? However, this growth came with actual combat experience. They were still students at the end of the day. Even if it was Nebula, how much actual combat experience could a student have? It was reasonable for them to fight by the book. If their performance was so smooth and even better than the teachers, then what was the point of having teachers? Forget about going to university. However, even if they explained it this way, they told themselves this in their hearts. Many of the teachers' brows were tightly knitted, and they could not relax. The difference was like a cliff. It was too obvious. Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi's attributes were very close, but neither of them were Takashi Hoshi users with only one attribute. There was no situation where Takashi Hoshi countered each other's attribute. Therefore, Takashi Hoshi's skills were endless as they fought back and forth. Both of them had made many tactical mistakes. If these two fell into the hands of Wang Lan or Xiao Zi, the battle would end in 5 minutes. In the past, there was still a level gap between Wang Lan and Nebula. However, after breaking through Nebula, Wang Lan had already jumped out of Nebula's pool. In Nebula, unless it was a wily old fox like Su Shiyun, Wang Lan could call the rest trash. Finally, the seemingly intense but error-prone battle ended in the eyes of many teachers. The two of them seemed to have exhausted most of their astral power. Zhang Hao took out his saber first and charged at Qiu Tianxi. Chapter 239. If Takashi Hoshi's skills were anything to be proud of, then the close combat skills of these two were not up to par. Although they were considered excellent in the 3rd year of high school, they were still far from the overall standard of the provincial martial arts competition. Perhaps it was because Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi were both magic awakeners. Suddenly, Wang Lan, who had been quietly watching the match, stood up abruptly with a look of horror on his face. Almost at the same time, CSCC and the other masters widened their eyes and felt their scalps go numb. Zhang Hao stabbed Qiu Tianxi in the chest and hit his heart. Qiu Tianxi slit Zhang Hao's throat and slit it. There was no hesitation in trading a life for a life. The two of them seemed to be fighting a ridiculous battle, but they both had the determination to kill each other. This scene froze, as if it had turned into an eternity. Beep beep beep. The referee blew his whistle wildly and rushed to the other side of the battlefield. However, it was too late. The two of them had perished too quickly. It did not seem like they had no energy left to stop. It could be said that if it were any other contestant, they would not have fought to this extent if they still had energy left. The audience in the stands stood up immediately, and the countless viewers watching the live broadcast were also stunned. They had long heard that the world of Takashi Hoshi was cruel, and that Takashi Hoshi's battles were battles of life and death. They had not believed it before, and had always thought that it was an exaggeration to make Takashi Hoshi look good. There were great rivers and mountains, and a stable and prosperous society. How could there be battles of life and death? There was no such thing as going to war for the country and dying without regret. There were even some stupid comments on the internet from time to time. The so-called reclaimed space did not exist. It was a story made up by the country to beautify Takashi Hoshi. If it did exist, where was it? Why couldn't they find it? The reclaimed space was an alternate dimension. Of course, ordinary people could not see it or enter it. There was no such thing as great rivers and mountains and prosperity. It was nothing more than Takashi Hoshi carrying a heavy load. The tragedy of this moment even made many keyboard warriors forget to curse. Someone had really died, and it had happened in front of everyone. The stretchers quickly carried the two of them down. Their vital points were hit, and without Wang Lan's self-healing ability, even the gods would not be able to save them. Wang Lan had thought that Qiu Tianxi had some sort of self-healing trump card when he had taken Zhang Hao's blow without hesitation. In the end, this was the outcome? Takashi Hoshi is a warrior, and the provincial martial arts competition is not just a sports competition. In the world of Takashi Hoshi, there was no such thing as safety first. The competition was a drill, and the battle was a real battle. Even if there were casualties, it was still acceptable. Every year, there will be casualties in the provincial martial competition. This is unavoidable. Before the keyboard warriors could do anything, the organizers of the provincial martial arts tournament hurriedly announced the necessity of actual combat and the reasonableness of casualties. Injuries and deaths were allowed in the military exercise, and so was Takashi Hoshi's competition. There was an hour-long break for everyone to digest the changes in the first match. Zhang Hao, the main artery in his neck has been severed. There are no signs of life. Qiu Tianxi, his heart has been pierced. There are no signs of life. Is there anything suspicious? We need to do a further autopsy. While everyone was surprised that Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi had died together, the dean dialed a number with a serious but excited expression. Mu Xiaoyun, where are you? The train station? Come back quickly. What? The car. Why do you care about the car? You're in third place. Will you stand on the podium later? You'll know the details when you come back. Champion? Not yet, but the competition will start soon. After the dean hung up the phone, Wang Lan turned around to take a look. Is Mu Xiaoyun ready to leave? Yes, he's already at the train station. He's planning to go to Hubei province. Fortunately, I called in time. He's about to get on the train. The second match of the semifinals is about to start. Yuqing, Wang Lan, Xiao Zi, please take your places. Wang Lan was about to ask when the broadcast reminded him that the match was about to start. Wang Lan had to suppress his curiosity. He stood up and walked to the repaired arena. Although Wang Lan was shocked by the fact that they had died together, Wang Lan felt that there was more to it than met the eye. Moreover, Wang Lan was very sensitive to the fact that Wang Mingling was eyeing the provincial martial arts competition. Wang Lan arrived at the arena while he was deep in thought. Xiao Zi was still smiling brightly. She looked at Wang Lan with kindness in her eyes. Wang Lan, are we competing? Xiao Zi scratched the back of her head and asked. Of course, we're not enemies. Then, there's no need to risk your life. If you can't take it, just admit defeat. The semi-finals will become the finals. I don't want to lose the finals. Same for you. Don't force yourself if you can't take it. Are the two contestants ready? Ready. Okay. Then, Wang Lan versus Xiao Zi, let the match begin. However, the moment the referee finished speaking, Xiao Zi's astral power surged wildly. Wang Lan turned into an electric arc and charged toward Xiao Zi. He was halfway there when endless waves came crashing toward him. An ordinary person's mega tsunami technique was like digging a dam and pouring water. Even an expert's mega tsunami technique would only be larger in scale and more water. However, Xiao Zi's mega tsunami technique was everywhere. This made Wang Lan personally experience what it meant to be a pushover. The crazy amount of water was like 10,000 horses galloping, engulfing Wang Lan with a boom. It was not that Wang Lan did not want to run, but he had nowhere to run. The huge amount of water spread throughout the arena. If it was not for the protective barrier around the arena, Wang Lan doubted that Xiao Zi had the ability to flood the entire arena. The water continued to cover the sky and the ground. At the spot where Wang Lan was engulfed, a sword ray flashed and cut the water apart. Wang Lan's basic sword technique had reached gold level. Although his sword chi could not reach more than 3 feet away, it was not a problem for him to cut the water apart. After blocking the impact of the waves, Wang Lan jumped out and stood on the water like Xiao Zi. In just a short while, the entire arena had turned into a water cube. Xiao Zi's water was several times more than when she fought against Su Su. F***CK, is he still human? Many of the contestants exclaimed. If Xiao Zi's astral power was still unfathomable before, it had risen to an unbelievable level at this moment. Everyone was nebula, but when comparing their astral powers, many of them asked themselves if they were fake nebula. The entire arena was half the size of a football field. However, Xiao Zi had flooded the entire arena without any water and even raised the water level a few meters high. Even a Star Sea Realm expert would not dare to do this. This move had almost destroyed Wang Lan's fire element Takashi Hoshi. What was field control? This was the true definition of field control. Wang Lan, who was standing on the water, raised his hands. Flames surrounded his hands and the purple flaming blade danced like a will-o'-the-wisp. Suddenly, Wang Lan lightly flung out a purple flaming flying dagger towards Xiao Zi. Xiao Zi raised her hand and a koi fish jumped out of the water. It collided with the flaming flying blade and exploded with a boom, releasing a cloud of water vapor. As expected, Xiao Zi was the absolute ruler of the water cube world. Xiao Zi waved her hand and the water surface suddenly surged. Countless water splashed out of the water and turned into water needles in the air. Xiao Zi pushed gently and the water needles shot towards Wang Lan like a dense rain of arrows. Wang Lan waved his hands and the countless flying blades went towards the water needles like bats. Explosions were heard one after another, and dense steam rose into the air. In the blink of an eye, the water cube world had turned into a hot spring. Wang Lan frowned. The current situation was even worse than when he was facing Mu Xiaoyun in his Black Emperor form. Wang Lan used the rule of not being able to advance to win against Mu Xiaoyun. Now, Xiao Zi was using the same rule to suppress Wang Lan. Everything in the arena was under Xiao Zi's control. There was no way to retreat other than to face the challenge head-on. The water vapor filled Wang Lan's vision, and Wang Lan could not capture Xiao Zi's movements. Dynamic Vision, activate. After the new moon arrow was upgraded to gold, not only had it become shooting sun arrow, but even the dynamic vision had been upgraded. Other than the enhanced lock-on function, it also had a heat-sensing ability. Although the water vapor in front of him was pervasive, it wasn't formed by heating. Instead, it was like a mist of water vapor. With Wang Lan's dynamic vision, Xiao Zi's figure appeared in Wang Lan's vision. At this moment, Xiao Zi waved her hands slightly and the water around her surged again. Countless water dragons on the surface of the water raised their heads, and then opened their bloody mouths at Wang Lan as if they were hunting their prey. Crackle! Electric arcs flashed around Wang Lan's body as he turned into a stream of light and charged towards Xiao Zi in a snake-like trajectory. Wang Lan had no chance of winning against Takashi Hoshi. His only advantage was close-range combat. Xiao Zi was a pure sorcerer and was weak in close-range combat. However, with Xiao Zi's level of crowd control, her weakness in close-range combat was no longer considered a weakness. Wang Lan dodged Xiao Zi's attack by a hair's breadth when the dragon head came crashing down. However, Xiao Zi was able to accurately pinpoint Wang Lan's location as he charged towards her. After dodging the attacks of the 5 water dragons, Wang Lan had no choice but to stop her charge. Even if Wang Lan's lightning attribute was active, it was still impossible for her to dodge continuously in an instant. The moment Wang Lan stopped, Wang Lan reached out with one hand. The electric arcs around him turned into densely packed lightning snakes that shot out from Wang Lan's palm. Dozens of lightning snakes roared as they charged towards Xiao Zi. Xiao Zi was unfazed. Countless water snakes suddenly appeared on the water surface. It was difficult for one water snake to block one lightning snake, but it was easy for 10 water snakes to block one lightning snake. Unlimited star energy was just that capricious. If it were Wang Lan, he would not even be able to use Takashi Hoshi's skill. However, it was a piece of cake for Xiao Zi. Another attack failed, and Xiao Zi was still in an invincible position. Xiao Zi's current state completely countered Wang Lan's attack. The water produced by Takashi Hoshi's skill was pure water, and pure water did not conduct electricity. Wang Lan's lightning attribute Takashi Hoshi was useless against Xiao Zi's water cube. As for the fire element, it was naturally completely restrained. Not only could the water counter Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi's skill, but it could also sense it for Xiao Zi. Even when Wang Lan wanted to use the nebula sword dance, Xiao Zi could sense where Wang Lan's real body was through the water and steam. The only Takashi Hoshi's skills that could be used were Crescent Arrow and Phantom Trace. Chapter 240. While Wang Lan was thinking about his strategy, Xiao Zi made his move again. In an instant, Wang Lan felt that the water beneath her feet had suddenly become abnormally violent. The surface of the water sank and the wall of water around him suddenly rose. Wang Lan's expression changed as he quickly ran up the wall of water. However, before he could take more than 5 steps, Wang Lan was pushed down from the wall of water. What is Xiao Zi trying to do? Suddenly, a student exclaimed. Above Wang Lan's head, a cluster of clouds gathered. In the eyes of the students, the arena had turned into a giant water tank. The strange thing was that there was a huge amount of water below and above, but there was a vacuum in the middle. Wang Lan and Xiao Zi were facing each other in the vacuum. He wants to bury himself and Wang Lan together. Xiao Zi is a Takashi Hoshi with 4 attributes, but he only used water to suppress Wang Lan. If Xiao Zi uses other Takashi Hoshi techniques, wouldn't Wang Lan lose instantly? Which school are you from? An observation teacher in his 50s suddenly put away his observation chart, turned around, and curiously asked the student who spoke just now. Chang City No. 2 High School. You've made a common mistake. Of course, I can understand since you're just a high school student. If you're my student, you'll never be able to graduate if you say something like that. Xiao Zi did indeed have 4 attributes, but a multi-attribute star martial artists battle did not necessarily require them to use all of their attributes to be considered capable. Xiao Zi has already shown his talent in using multiple attributes in the previous battle. The battlefield is ever-changing, so tactics have to be adapted to the situation. A mature Takashi Hoshi should know how to use different tactics against different opponents. That's how a mature Takashi Hoshi fights. Based on what you've said, Xiao Zi should use earth again? Fire? Lightning? Wang Lan was a dual-element fire and lightning. Would fire and lightning have any obvious effect on Wang Lan? Or perhaps his earth element would be countered by Wang Lan's lightning element. Wang Lan was an intelligent Takashi Hoshi. The more you used, the more flaws Wang Lan would have. Xiao Zi has already reached a level where she doesn't seek the best, but the most suitable level. Yet, you guys are still stuck at the level where you can't wait to show off? A battle was not a show. The result was the most important. The reason why Xiao Zi didn't use other elements was because pure water was the most effective against Wang Lan. Wang Lan's fire element Takashi Hoshi was not effective, and the fact that pure water did not conduct electricity limited Wang Lan's lightning element. Moreover, Xiao Zi had already comprehended the law of water perception. In the water world, Wang Lan's actions could not escape Xiao Zi's senses. If he used other elements, would he be able to gain such an advantage? In a real battle, the best battle strategy is when the enemy knows your plan but can't do anything about it. Wang Lan's excellence has already amazed us, but Xiao Zi's is even better than Wang Lan's. Based on Xiao Zi's awareness, she will definitely become a titled battle pet warrior in the future. Hearing the old man's evaluation, the students behind him pouted. Even if they were unhappy, they could only agree. It didn't matter whether you agreed or not. The rules were in the hands of others. On the other side, on the Sioux City team's side, everyone's faces were twisted together. Especially the dean of teaching. He gripped the armrest so tightly that he almost crushed it. For the first time, Sioux City was so close to the championship. They were so close that they could hold the championship trophy in their arms if they worked hard. However, Xiao Zi was like an insurmountable chasm. Sinew, if you were in Wang Lan's position, would you be able to break Xiao Zi's move? Jiang Sinew pondered for a while and then gritted her teeth. No. Can't you freeze his water? Xie asked in confusion. The water isn't still water. Unless I can reach the galaxy rank and my astral power changes, even if I freeze a part of it, it will be broken instantly. Xiao Zi's advantage lies in his extraordinary astral power and his ability to use the rules. If there weren't any restrictions, Wang Lan would still have a chance to win. However, the entire arena is under his control. Wang Lan won't have any chance of winning. Just as Jiang Sinew finished speaking, a figure slowly walked over. He was dressed casually and it was obvious that he was going out. Mu Xiaoyun sat down. What's wrong? What happened? The finals started early. Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi died together. Both of them are dead. I don't know what's wrong with their brains. What kind of deep hatred do they have for each other? Third place is yours, Su Xianwen said casually to Mu Xiaoyun. In the entire Sioux City team, Mu Xiaoyun was the most unsociable. However, Su Xianwen didn't hate Mu Xiaoyun. They were still classmates who knew each other well. Mu Xiaoyun only responded with a faint "oh" and looked up at the battlefield. Wang Lan isn't in a good situation. Indeed, to be countered by Xiao Zi to this extent, Lan Zi has never been so sullen since becoming a star martial artist. I'm puzzled. Why is he following the rules? Go straight to the phoenix. Xiangwen! Shut up! Jiang Xinyu shouted and interrupted Su Xiangwen. Yes, yes, yes. However, Lan Zi must be out of his mind. He has the ability but can't use it. Even if he can't use it, he still has the Star Palace Divine Artifact. Trap him. Mu Xiaoyun, do you have a solution? Of course. Don't forget that I'm best at earth. Earth counters water. At this moment, Xiao Zi's shocking attack finally arrived. The water in the sky suddenly pressed down on Wang Lan and Xiao Zi's heads. After being submerged in the water, Xiao Zi had many ways to attack Wang Lan. If Wang Lan, who was standing on the surface of the water, was an insect jumping on a spider web, then Wang Lan, who was being swallowed by the water, was an insect entangled in a spider web. By then, Xiao Zi would be able to do whatever she wanted. A victorious smile appeared on Xiao Zi's face. As she smiled, Wang Lan's body disappeared. Perplexing Phantom Track had also been successfully upgraded to Gold rank. After reaching Gold tier, Shadowless Footprints, the direction of teleportation had increased from 4 to 6 directions. Moreover, it could teleport up to 30 meters away. The water cube above their heads was collapsing. No matter how they moved, they couldn't avoid it. However, Phantom Trace could. With a boom, a ball of air exploded from the top of the water. The turbulent water column rose into the sky. Because they were in a sealed environment, the water was extremely clear. In just an instant, the scene of Wang Lan's figure disappearing appeared before everyone's eyes. Where's Wang Lan? He didn't melt, right? Xiao Zi was the only one in the water. Wang Lan's figure had mysteriously disappeared. Did you guys hear a buzzing sound? Seems like it. Could it be an aerial drone in the sky? No, Wang Lan is in the sky. Finally, someone noticed the black dot in the sky above the water cube. At a height of 100 meters, Wang Lan's figure was like a little bee dancing in the air. Seeing this, Wang Qianfeng couldn't help but stand up from his seat. Air step? He actually learned the air stride? Calm down. He Mingxue looked at his forgetful comrade in disdain. Wasn't it reasonable for Wang Lan to learn air step? However, the air step that Wang Qianfeng demonstrated in front of Wang Lan required star power to be used in the air. This was different from the normal dance of Nebula. The normal dance of Nebula required star power to be used in the body. This was a completely different concept. Air step was a skill that Wang Qianfeng learned in the later stage of the Nebula stage. Wang Lan had just broken through to Nebula, but he learned it so quickly? Xiao Zi's expression changed when she saw Wang Lan in the air. She turned into a fish and rushed toward the water surface. However, Wang Lan, who was in the sky, suddenly shot several crescent moon arrows at the water surface. Each of them had a vision lock. Xiao Zi's expression changed, and she quickly dove into the water. However, Xiao Zi's face had turned pale. What was originally a restriction on Wang Lan had now become a restriction on him. This restriction was her Takashi Hoshi skill. Xiao Zi's current situation was similar to Wang Lan's. In fact, she was even worse than Wang Lan's. At least Wang Lan could stand on the water surface and breathe, but she could only dive. Moreover, the water was extremely pure, so Xiao Zi's every move was under Wang Lan's eyes. If she wanted to come out and breathe, she would shoot the arrows. However, if she stayed in the water, she would drown. Pfft! When Su Xianwen figured out what was going on, he spat out a mouthful of air. Then, there were gasps of surprise around him. F***ck, there's such a turnaround? This is even more ridiculous than a novel. Sadis. He released his own Takashi Hoshi skill, so he has to bear it even if he cries. I've heard of people setting themselves on fire, but I've never seen someone drowning themselves. Wang Lan's imagination is amazing. I'm completely convinced. Me too. Let's see what Xiao Zi can do now. She can either drown or be shot to death. This is such a difficult choice. I'm afraid she can only admit defeat. Not necessarily. Don't forget that Xiao Zi has 4 attributes. As time passed, Xiao Zi's face became paler and paler from holding her breath. Suddenly, Xiao Zi dived into the water and pressed her hand on the ground. Rumble! The ground quickly caved in, and as the soil churned, the originally clear water also became turbid. Looking at Xiao Zi's actions, how could Wang Lan not know what she was trying to do? Wang Lan's body fell freely from the sky, and his fingers formed the shape of a gun. At his wrist, a pair of lightning wings spread open, and countless electric arcs formed an arrow at Wang Lan's fingertips. Swish! The thunder arrow instantly rushed into the water like a javelin and plunged into the water. Then, crackle! A gorgeous electric arc exploded, as if a strong light was shining at the bottom of the water. Bolts of lightning shot into the water one after another. The turbid water already possesses electrical conductivity. Xiao Zi's tactic has failed. A smile hung on Di Lao's face as he softly said. Splash! Wang Lan dived into the water. At this moment, the arena had already been turned into a huge swimming pool by Xiao Zi. After a series of splashes, the water surface became calm again. After a while, a figure rushed out of the water. Wang Lan supported the unconscious Xiao Zi and stood on the water surface. Chapter 241. We won. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in disbelief. It was as if someone had lit up a barrel of explosive. Champion? We're the champions? Su Xiangwen jumped up from his seat and exclaimed excitedly. Clap, clap, clap. A teacher stood up and applauded. The students behind him followed suit. Soon, almost everyone in the stands stood up and applauded enthusiastically. This battle had left them in awe. Wang Lan's comeback was so stunning that they were speechless. It wasn't only his overwhelming strength that could win people's admiration. The true spirit of Takashi Hoshi was to find that fleeting moment of victory in adversity. In the battle against the demons, humans had always been at a disadvantage. But even in the face of adversity, generation after generation of star warriors relied on their unyielding faith to pass down the legacy of human civilization to this day. That was the true quality of Takashi Hoshi. Therefore, the applause was for Wang Lan, who never gave up in adversity, and for the invincible Xiao Zi. Jiang Xinyu looked at Wang Lan, who had his fist raised, and a bright smile appeared on her face. The man in front of her had won Jiang Xinyu's admiration. You won in the end. Behind Jiang Xinyu, the dean of teaching was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He held the armrest tightly as tears streamed down his face. How many years had it been? 20 years, or even longer. Sioux City's team had never achieved such an outstanding result. The champion, who had missed out on the championship for more than 20 years, had finally returned to Sioux City. The crowd applauded and the audience cheered as they watched the live broadcast. At this moment, a name resounded throughout the entire province. The 5019th Provincial Martial Arts Tournament, the champion of the province was Wang Lan. The waves of cheers didn't calm down for a long time. Suddenly, all the Takashi Hoshi players in the stadium had their phones ring. Almost at the same time, everyone took out their phones. When they saw the message on the phone, everyone's expression changed. Demons, spies, and terrorist organizations have joined forces to launch an attack on the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The Heavenly Sword Bureau is in a state of emergency, requesting backup. This is an emergency. Lu Zhao's face turned pale in an instant. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The Heavenly Sword Bureau? Why the Heavenly Sword Bureau? The demon's target was the Heavenly Sword Bureau? This news was issued by Li Weixin, who had stayed behind to guard the base. If it wasn't for the fact that it was extremely urgent, he definitely wouldn't have released this news. All the elites of the Heavenly Sword Bureau stayed in the stadium. While the Heavenly Sword Bureau was empty, the demon's spies took drastic measures. At this moment, Lu Zhao couldn't help but think of many things. The demon's real goal was not Di Lao, nor was it to destroy this provincial martial arts competition. The demon's target had always been the Heavenly Sword Bureau, because the Heavenly Sword Bureau had a deep-seated hatred for the demon's spies. In the past year, because of the Heavenly Sword Bureau, the demon spy group had suffered many setbacks, and the Heavenly Sword Bureau had become the model of the Heavenly Sword Bureau in the country. Assassinate Di Lao? How could the possibility of assassinating Di Lao be the same as destroying the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Lu Zhao instantly had an answer in his heart. Beep beep beep, the phone was connected. Li Weixin's urgent voice came from the other side of the phone. Director, it's Wang Mingling. Wang Mingling led the demon's spies and a large group of human spies to attack the East Gate. We definitely can't stop them head-on. I've already activated the defensive wall, but the situation is not good. How many of them are here? A few hundred, but Wang Mingling alone can take on 1,000 people. I got it. Lu Zhao hurriedly sent a message to his phone. All units, pay attention. Return to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. After saying that, Lu Zhao looked at Di Lao apologetically. Di Lao, I have to leave. Go. Do you need my help? Di Lao asked indifferently with a calm expression. No need. The Heavenly Sword Bureau is not afraid of any challenge. Wang Qianfeng was about to turn around when he saw Wang Lan running away. Wang Lan, where are you going? You are the champion. Wang Lan paused and raised his head to look at Wang Qianfeng in the stands with a puzzled expression. Wasn't the Heavenly Sword Bureau in an extremely urgent situation? Stay here. We'll take care of it, Wang Qianfeng said calmly and shot up into the sky. The rest of the people in the venue were speculating about what might have happened. Soon, the organizers' broadcast sounded. Due to the special situation in the morning, the provincial martial arts competition ended 3 hours earlier than the other provinces. Now, the champion Wang Lan, the first runner-up Xiao Zi, and the third runner-up Mu Xiaoyun, please come up to the stage to receive your award. The live broadcast was still going on. The end of the competition did not mean the end. The dust would only settle when they received the trophy. Although Wang Lan was unwilling, if she missed the award ceremony, what would she do if the prize that was already in her hands disappeared? After defeating Xiao Zi, the system did not notify him that he had won the championship. Wang Lan came to the podium at the edge of the arena and stood in the middle. On his left was Xiao Zi, who had almost recovered after his treatment. On his right was Mu Xiaoyun, who was wearing a cap and looked like he was going on a trip. Di Lao came to the podium amidst the stirring music. He received the champion's medal from the judges and walked over solemnly. Di Lao was not very tall. He was a very skinny old man. He had a kind smile on his face, just like the grandpas in the park. However, Wang Lan could feel the weight of a mountain and the vastness of the sea from Di Lao. This old man was his mother's teacher. He was the legendary figure who had groomed the Southern Yan Emperor. Di Lao put the medal on Wang Lan's neck solemnly. If your mother could see your achievements today, she would be very happy. Your mother only got 8th place in the provincial martial arts competition, which was her life's regret. You have fulfilled this regret for her. Thank you. Wang Lan had thought that he would say a lot. However, at this moment, Wang Lan felt like a rock was stuck in his chest. The only thing he could say was thank you. You are very outstanding. You are not inferior to your mother. After speaking, Di Lao turned and walked towards Xiao Zi. Congratulations to the host for becoming the champion of the provincial martial arts competition. The reward is 30,000 experience points and 1,500 skill points. Beep beep beep. Wang Lan's phone suddenly rang. Knowing that the Heavenly Sword Bureau was facing a crisis, Wang Lan did not hesitate and quickly took out his phone. It was a message from Su Shiyun. The autopsy results are out. Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi have been dead for more than 18 hours. The moment he saw this message, Wang Lan's expression changed. He had his suspicions before, which was why he asked Su Shiyun to pay attention to it. However, he did not expect that. He had guessed correctly. Under such circumstances, the two of them would not perish together. However, that scene actually happened in front of his eyes. If it did not make sense and was manipulated, then the manipulator's goal was, at this moment, Di Lao had already finished giving Xiao Zi the award and was walking towards the third-place winner, Mu Xiaoyun. At this moment, Wang Lan's one-inch punch was launched. Suddenly, he threw a punch at Mu Xiaoyun, who was beside him. Mu Xiaoyun was caught off guard and was sent flying by Wang Lan's punch. This scene was broadcasted to thousands of households through the live broadcast. Everyone was stunned. On the stage where the organizers were on, a group of Sioux City's leaders stood up and looked at Wang Lan in shock. Wang Lan, what are you doing? Principal Zhang was standing beside the podium. After realizing what had happened, he flew into a rage. This is a podium and it's being broadcasted live on TV. You can't do it now even if you have a grudge against Mu Xiaoyun. Looking at Mu Xiaoyun who was lying on the ground, Wang Lan was unmoved. Mu Xiaoyun. No, I should call you Wang Mingling. Are you still going to pretend? As Wang Lan spoke, he took out his phone and dialed a number. Wang Chu, we found the mole. It's Ma Weidong. Wang Lan, what's going on? You've really confused me. Di Lao was still calm in the face of this situation. He was still able to chuckle. My colleague just told me that Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi died more than 18 hours ago. In other words, they were killed last night. How could someone who had been killed last night still be in the game today? The only explanation is that their bodies were controlled by Takashi Hoshi. There is only one person who has the ability to do so, and that is the Jade States trader, Takashi Hoshi, Wang Mingling. However, why did Wang Mingling control Zhang Hao and Qiu Tianxi to die together? The only thing I can think of is that if they are dead, you, who should be in 5th place, will be in 3rd place. The top 3 will stand on the podium and receive the award from Di Lao. Combined with the information we received, Wang Mingling returned to the country this time to assassinate Di Lao. Therefore, you, who shouldn't be on the podium, are the assassin who wanted to assassinate Di Lao. Am I right? Ha ha! Mu Xiaoyun, who was playing dead on the ground, suddenly let out a sinister laugh. He stood up stiffly and slightly bent his waist to stand in a strange posture. Although Mu Xiaoyun's strength has always been first in his class, he is far from being as strong as you. His strength was, at most, only slightly stronger than the other students. However, you are unbelievably strong. I think that when his family was assassinated by the Hellfire, you had already taken over Mu Xiaoyun's body, right? Therefore, you can only be Wang Mingling. Since Wang Mingling personally took action, how could Ma Weidong last until we arrived? Therefore, he can only be a mole in the Heavenly Sword Bureau. I think that your plan was divided into 2 parts. First, you deliberately let out a false impression that you were already in the stadium to lure the Heavenly Sword Bureau's experts to set up a defense. Second, you colluded with the demons to ambush the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Once the Heavenly Sword Bureau returned, you would have the perfect opportunity to assassinate him. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Wang Mingling, I have to say that although you are quite ugly, your thoughts are very beautiful. Wang Lan is the biggest variable in our plan. As long as he is here, our plan can be ruined. This is something that the demons Dong Luo repeatedly emphasized to me. But I found it strange. A Star Glory Realm Junior, a child who's still in school, how could they be so afraid of shooting at the rat for fear of breaking the vases? Sigh. I regret not listening to him and keeping you here. I should have killed you in the previous round. Kill me? Can you do it? Wang Mingling slowly stood up, the skin on his face peeling off bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, it became a completely different face. Wang Mingling looked at Di Lao and suddenly revealed a long-lost smile. Teacher, we haven't seen each other for more than 30 years. Do you still remember me? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.